Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome to my channel, the Muslim Apologist. I'm your host, MENJ. Today, as the title says, we are going to have a reaction to this ridiculous debate, and I use the term very loosely, between the old fart, Jay Smith, and the psychopath, David Wood. So to join me in this reaction video, I bring to you our brother Islamic Calling, who has just joined us for this live stream. So
Assalamualaikum, bro.
Assalamualaikum, brother. Yes, Walaikum Salam. Yeah, you just joined the show, right? Yes, on time.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So never mind, it's okay. I'm going to play the intro and then we can start the show, right?
Yeah, sure,
So
sure.
cue in intro.
Okay.
So we are back again. So, brother Islamic Calling, welcome to the show. Um, as we have discussed, this will be our both of us our reaction to these two clowns, these two Christian clowns.
I mean, calling them
Yeah.
clowns is like insulting the clowns. To be
Actually,
honest,
I
they're not
would
clowns. They're
agree
the
with
whole
you
circus.
to a certain extent. I would agree with you. Actually, it's an insult to the clowns themselves because a clown is there, for the purpose of entertainment, and they know what they're supposed to do. But these two clowns, they don't even know what they are doing. Okay, so
Yeah,
you see, I rewatched the debate again, and I took some points as I showed you earlier. So
yeah,
watching the debate again, I realized that David Wood is actually not trying to argue for the existence of the Prophet, even though the title says, "Did Muhammad exist?" and he's on the pro side, and J. Smith is supposed to be on the no side, right? The nay side.
yeah, yeah,
He's actually not. He's not actually debating for the existence of the Prophet. He's just using it as a platform to insult the Prophet, to demean his character.
character. Yeah,
So basically, what his aim is that either way the Muslims lose, because if you are for the idea that the Prophet existed, according to David Wood, the Prophet is still a false prophet because he had these so-called moral deficiencies. And
yeah,
if you are against the idea that the Prophet existed, that means Islam is also false because the Prophet does not exist. So either way, the idea with this fake debate or this pseudo debate is to demean Islam. It's not to seek the truth. So I don't understand why these two donkeys were on stage arguing which tail is longer, their tail, his tail, or the other tail, because both of them are donkeys in the end. See,
yeah,
if you get what I mean, right?
yeah, yeah.
I don't want to insult anyone, but the thing is, they really make a fool of themselves. So anyway, so what's your take on it after watching the debate before we go on and do our reaction? Yeah.
It's a circus. I mean, like I said, I mean, these two guys, I mean, if you can even call it that, considering the cross dressing, these two, whatever they are, whatever their pronouns are. So these two individuals, and when you first sent me like the debate, I didn't know what to think of it. I mean, a lot of people told me to react to it, respond to it. I thought like, what is this? And when I saw it, I realized that how far behind like evangelical Christians are in understanding Islam. Like they're so
Exactly.
far behind, they'll believe anything.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. The sole purpose is to discredit Islam.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what whatever the means are, as long as it justifies their goal, which is to demean and belittle Islam, their goal is achieved. You see, regardless
Yeah.
what the argument is. You see,
Yeah.
so so shall we continue with the circus? Shall we start watching it?
Yeah. Uh,
All right. Okay. So let me set it up. All right. Okay.
okay. Okay.
Give me a moment. Tab, did Muhammad existed? Even the question itself is quite silly, you know. Okay. I'm going to skip. So we are going to address only the opening, right? The opening statements of both Jay Smith and David Wood. So
Yeah, yeah.
David Wood started his opening in the 7th minute. So
By
I'm
the
going
way,
to
can
start.
I
Yeah.
share?
Oh, you want to share your screen?
Not now, but later
Of
on
course,
maybe.
of course, of course, of course. You're allowed to share.
Because
Just let
I
me know
actually
when.
have
Yeah.
note that is
Yeah.
like 4,000 pages long.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I did
okay.
a lot of research on
So
this.
so while
So
we are doing the reaction, if you want to interject and say you want to share something, just let me know and I'll share and
sure,
I'll
sure,
let you share your screen. All right.
sure,
Okay.
sure.
So let's start with Dr. David Woods. I'm going to comment on that as well. Okay, I'm going to comment on it because I have a lot of
Doctor,
things to say. Yes, I'm going to comment
Doctorate
about that.
hammering your father.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to comment on that shortly. Okay, so I'm going to skip to the 7th minute because that is where he started his debate. Well, the opening. Okay, all right. 6:24. No, it's not this 10. No, sorry. Yeah, my internet is a bit slow, so bear with me. All right. Okay, 6:55. Yes. Okay, it's around here. Right.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, can you make the screen bigger?
Sure. Of course.
All
Of
right,
course.
welcome everybody to this final debate of the
Is the
night.
screen bigger now?
The debate is did Muhammad of Islam?
No, it's still small.
So we're going to have a debate between
Okay.
Dr. David Wood,
Yeah,
Dr.
How about
Jay
this?
Smith. It's going to be
Yeah,
pretty much the same
right.
format
Okay.
as you've seen before. We're going to have opening statements of 20 minutes each. Then we're going to have 12-minute rebuttals each, then 8-minute rebuttals each, and then.
By the way, I'm not sure
20-minute
who's the person who's introducing this. If I'm not mistaken, this is Samuel Green. I don't know. Can you maybe correct me if I'm wrong? I don't know.
No,
Have you
I
heard of?
don't think it's Samuel Green.
You don't think it's Samuel Green? Do you know
No,
who's
no.
Samuel Green?
Yeah, he's like a Christian apologetics, right?
Yes, yes, he is. He is. And but
By the
I'm
way,
not
bro,
sure whether. Yeah,
can I
yeah.
ask something? Like, can you remove the name, like the Islamic calling admin? Because
Oh,
I think
okay,
it's kind
sure,
of
sure,
blocking.
sure. Yeah, sure. I can do that. I can do that. Sorry. Because it's in. Because I thought it was a good idea to display the name, but okay, since you requested, it's
Okay,
gone.
that's
Okay, so let's continue. All right. Okay.
yeah.
Summary and wrap up. 5 minutes. 5-minute. Okay, I had a 1 minute. You gave it to me.
Also, bro, can you like
Okay,
make
I
the
know.
screen on the side?
Like the screen on the side, meaning like this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. That's
like
good.
this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right.
One second. Hey, Sam, or where's Anthony? Why don't you guys check?
So
Oh, are
I
they
think
like in a
Sam.
gang or something? Like
Yeah.
they're always
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Sam,
I think. I think.
Anthony.
I think. Yeah. I think Sam Shamu, the botak guy, and botak means body. By the way, in my language. So the botak guy and the crook must be in the crowd somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 They also went together to like confront Sheikh Uthman.
Uh,
Did you see that?
yeah. I saw that. It was a very embarrassing moment for all of them. I mean, they were trying to, they were in a trinity trying to gang up on this poor guy, this poor Muslim guy, but the poor Muslim guy actually beat the hell out of them.
Yeah, I mean, like he's like an actual academic, and they're like clowns.
Yeah.
So
I mean, these people don't realize that Sheikh Oman actually a scholar of hadith. I
yeah,
mean, who are they trying to fool? I mean, the guy is a scholar, man.
yeah.
He's an actual scholar, not a scholar like Christian Prince. Okay,
Christian
a real scholar of Islam. And these idiots think that they could defeat or they could argue their way out with Sheikh Oman. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You must be losing your mind if you think you could do that, in the first place. Anyway, okay, let's continue, right?
check the YouTube channel. Make sure everything's running smooth.
Okay, let me skip that.
20-minute mark or the 12, whatever the minute mark is, I'll let you know that your time is up so we can keep it.
By the way, can I just say, like,
First,
what's
you
with the
wanna-
camera
Do a
quality?
YouTube check first.
Like they're like
We're good. Okay.
taking
was
money
just
from like people for a debate, and they can't get like a good camera.
I'm not complaining. I mean, it's still viewable, I guess. Not
Yeah, but
not
at one point, like Jay Smith says, like those who are paid to see us, so they're like charging people, and
yeah,
like you
yeah,
get like
yeah.
shit like this.
Yeah. Well, that's how they fool their flock. You see, they say that they want to collect money for their cause. Again, to collect money for Jesus, and then of course a part of the money goes somewhere else. The sleight of
Yeah.
hand. It's a miracle. The money disappears. Some of the money is there, but is about maybe I don't know 10% left. The
Yeah.
other
It's
90% disappears.
yeah, it's like a lot of those canonical books in the Bible. They just disappeared.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they don't even know which canon Bible canon they want to follow, because you see these people are Protestants. Okay, the
Yeah.
Protestants have 66 books. Okay,
Yeah.
the Catholics have 73 books. Okay,
Oh.
and we haven't even talked about the Eastern Orthodox and the Ethiopian Church yet. Okay,
Yeah.
the Ethiopian Church has the most number of books. They have 88 books. So which Bible do we need to follow? That's another question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay.
Let's start.
Okay. Yeah. I want to actually deal with this so-called doctor claim. Wait. It's actually in the 7th minute. Sorry, I think I made a mistake with the timestamp just now. Yeah, it's here actually. Yeah, this is the one.
So we're going to have a debate between
By the
Dr.
way,
David Wood, Dr.
can I
Jason.
interject? Someone commented
Okay, sure.
something.
Sure.
I want to
Okay,
respond
sure,
to that a
sure.
little bit.
Sure. Which one you want to comment?
Big ups.
Okay, this one. I think this guy.
Yeah, big ups. I can bet the same things happen in mosques.
No. It doesn't. We have auditors in the mosque. Okay, we have treasurers and people, checking whether the finances goes to the mosque or otherwise. We are not like the Christians at all. Okay.
Yeah, and that's not even the point. The point is like they're claiming like they're experts in Islam. They're charging
exactly.
people for it,
Exactly.
and they're
Exactly.
giving quality like this.
Yes, exactly. So maybe we can go to another comment here from brother Kamal Dia. I'm just here to see some Christian trolls. Okay, I hope there will be some Christian trolls for you to laugh at. I'm not sure whether there will be any. Okay, to be honest, I don't know whether they are willing to come to this reaction
I think they'll
session
come.
that we're
They'll come.
having.
I think they'll come.
Because we're going to embarrass the hell out of the apologists. I mean, both of us are going to really tear their two greatest minds apart. So, yeah, inshallah, of course. Okay, let me play with the video right first.
Yeah,
It's going to be pretty much the same format as you've seen before. We're going to have opening statements of 20 minutes.
Sorry. Okay, never mind. Anyway, what I wanted to address was because when they first introduced when this guy introduced David Wood and Jay Smith, he called them a doctor. So my question is, a doctor in what? A doctor in what? Yeah, I mean, we know that David Wood is an ex-con. Okay, how the hell is going to get a PhD from prison? Okay, and I know that
that's something I thought about.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand how. I mean, I know that he went to university after that and he managed to get a degree. That is how he met Nabil Kaidani. But I have no idea how the hell he got a PhD. Okay, and what academic papers did he publish and produce to deserve that PhD?
I mean,
what
he had a hammer. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if he wants to write a thesis on how he picked someone else's head, then yeah, probably he can have a doctorate in that. But but for him to get a PhD, I don't believe a single word of it. I don't think he ever got a PhD. A degree, yes, I do believe that it's possible to get a degree from from prison, even to continue your studies after you leave prison. But for you to get a degree, to get a doctorate, that takes you need to get a master's first before you get a doctorate, right? Yeah. And also same thing with Jay Smith. What doctorate does he have? Okay.
He's a historian.
The last I heard, he tried to get a master's degree in Islamic studies in Australia, but he failed. You know why he failed? Because he couldn't master Arabic, which was a prerequisite for this masters. So again, what doctorate does he have? I mean, he can't even pass his masters. He cannot even get past a masters in Islamic studies. So how the hell are you going to get a doctorate?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you see. So I mean, seriously. Okay. Anyway, okay, that's done. So let's continue with the actual opening, which is at 9:03. Right, I wrote the number here. Yeah. Okay, 9:90. Okay, let me just play this.
Debunk one of the most astounding pseudo-scholarly conspiracy theories the world has ever seen. When people hear that David Wood is debating Jay Smith on an Islamic topic, lots of people think we must be up to something, but we're not. We really have a significant disagreement on whether the Muhammad of Islam existed. I still believe in the overall picture.
They're
of
not up to
Muhammad.
anything.
Okay, so
It's all honest, honest
yeah,
academic inquiries.
so he's saying that this debate is honest for the truth, and he's just coming for the truth, and he has serious disagreements with Jay. But later on, I will show you how deceptive this psychopath actually is. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, it's actually, like I said earlier on in the stream, David Wood's intention to conduct this debate is not to seek the truth, but to use it as a platform to insult, to demean, to belittle the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay.
Yeah.
So none of his arguments or can be used as evidence for the Prophet's existence. Okay. At least not from an Islamic perspective, not from Islamic sciences. Okay, in Islam we have a different methodology. Okay, for determining whether the stories are true or false. But this guy, he's simply using an argument which biblical scholars often use, but he tries to apply it to Islam, and it's inapplicable because in Islam, our the way we collect our traditions and how we relate our history is totally different from how Judeo-Christianity is, you see. So it doesn't work. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a circle. Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. But these people are so desperate for they're so desperate for attention and so desperate to find points against Islam. That's why they resort to such tactics. Okay. I want to address one particular claim here. One question here. Beli sijil ke Muhammad tu? He's saying in Malay, this guy bought his degree. Okay. Okay, I'll answer it in Malay and then I'll translate it for you. Saya secara jujurnya saya tak tahu, tapi saya tak rasa lah dia ada degree lah. Saya tak rasa dia ada sijil. Kalau dia pukul bapak dia dengan tukul, macam mana nak dapat sijil? Okay, I translate that for you. Okay, I just said that I honestly don't know whether David Wood has a PhD, but the only certificate that he's qualified for is a certificate on how to hit your father with a hammer. Okay, that's what I said just now. Okay, all right. So okay. Another person asked this question. Why won't you debate if Paul was fooled by Satan or not? I'm sorry, this is not the topic of our reaction video today. It's not about Paul. It's about this silly debate between Jay Smith and David Wood. So if I want to debate, it will be another time, all right? Okay, wrong session, bro. Wrong session. Okay. Anyway, okay, I want to deal with point 9. What David said in 9:33. Okay, he said something in 9:33. Yeah, sorry about my video. I don't know, it's a bit slow today. Okay. 9:33. Oops, I just skipped it. Oops, again. 9:33. I got 9:37, but I don't. Okay, I'll just play this part.
Preaches for 12 years or so in Mecca, flees to Medina, builds an army, conquers his enemies, dies.
Okay, you notice what he said? He said that the Prophet fled or left Mecca for Medina during the Hajj.
Yeah.
Not the Hajj, during the Hijrah, and he built an army. That is historically inaccurate, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because,
I think we should let him talk and then we'll like a response.
Okay.
I
let's
mean, I want
around
to
6:32.
respond to like some of this
Okay.
point.
All right.
that sort of thing.
Tell me
So
when
what
you want. Tell me when you want me
might
to stop.
call-
All right.
Sure.
a Muhammad realist. Jay, by contrast, is a Muhammad myther.
There's actually no audio in this part of the video. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just playing from a slide, but the audio doesn't come out. Right. So let me skip it to the front, I think.
In the position, especially if the alternatives seem far less likely. If you're a Christian, there have probably been times when you've wondered why the all-powerful, loving God you believe in allowed this or that to happen. Why did this child get cancer? Why did that church get hit by a tornado? But you're still a Christian. Why is that?
By the way,
Well,
can I
you
say
believe that
something?
there are good reasons to
Yeah,
go
sure,
to
sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why this is a problem in Christianity and not in Islam is because you guys believe that, like, there's the original sin, right? So God decided that you're guilty for something you didn't do. On top of that, He's punishing you, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense, right?
Yes.
But in Islam, we don't believe that, obviously. We don't have any concept of original sin.
Yes.
So
Yes.
in Christianity,
exactly.
yes, it is a valid point that
Yes.
that why would God punish when he's already decided that you're guilty?
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So shall I continue the video?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay.
be a Christian that outweigh any difficulties you might face, and you believe that the alternatives have more problems and are supported by less evidence. So, why should we be Muhammad realists in spite of the challenge from Muhammad mythers like Jay? There are many reasons to believe that the Muhammad of Islam existed. Here, my opening statement, I'll give 3. First, Muslim sources report a number of embarrassing facts about Muhammad that wouldn't have been invented by conspirators creating a fake prophet for their new religion.
Okay, notice, okay, you don't mind if I stop here and just want to comment on this?
Sure.
Yeah, so he's actually, he already, right from the beginning, he's already implying that the prophet was a fake prophet. You see the words that he used, the terminology he uses to implant it into his audience's mind. So right from the beginning, everyone is already having the perception that the prophet was a fake prophet. See?
Yeah.
So one thing about David is that he's very clever with words. So he tries to manipulate. Of course, he has a degree in philosophy, so that's how he comes.
I don't know if he has a degree on philosophy. But that's like a logical fallacy.
Let's assume that he has one, right? Because that's what he says. Okay, so let's assume he has one. So if he does, then it explains why he can manipulate people's minds and insert certain words into his. I mean, he's trying to make just a casual remark here, but the way that he presents it, if you listen to it carefully, if you're not careful with the way that he says it, you will get influenced by him. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that he says it, psychologically, it can influence you. Okay.
Yeah.
So the guy is very devious and very, very manipulative with words. Just like Paul. Okay. Just like Paul, the false apostle. The most obvious false apostle in history. Okay. Okay, because that's what David likes to say about the prophet, right? He likes to say that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the most obvious false prophet in history. But I am saying that Paul of Tarsus is the most obvious fake apostle in history. Okay, so anyway, so you want me to continue again or anything else?
Yeah, sure. Continue.
You want to comment?
I want to comment, but I want to comment at the end of it. I want to play it a little bit.
All right. Okay.
This point is grounded in what historians call the principle of embarrassment, or the criterion of embarrassment. The idea here is that when people lie and invent things to support their position, they tend to invent things that help their cause, not things that hurt their cause. When someone admits something that makes his position look bad or foolish, he's probably not making it up, because he wouldn't invent something that's an embarrassment to his cause. So when we examine testimony, we can ask ourselves, is this the sort of thing someone would make up? if it's not the sort of thing someone would make up, we have at least some reason to believe that the testimony is accurate. Applying this principle to the Muslim sources, if people are going to fabricate stories about Muhammad because they're inventing a new religion, they're obviously going to fabricate stories that make Muhammad look good. They're not going to fabricate stories that make Muhammad look stupid or insane or evil or possessed.
Okay.
Let's
So
stop
it
here.
means-
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we can. Okay, I'll let you comment first, and then I will say a few things as well.
Yeah, okay. So this whole principle of embarrassment thing is one of the dumbest Christian principle that I've ever
Yes.
seen.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
so let me
This is
just-
something which biblical scholars use. That's why. Yeah.
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 I mean, this is one of the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and one of the most logically fallacious things I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Because, and basically what this is like a fallacy of non sequitur, right? Because you have this like idea that just because something is embarrassing doesn't mean it's either true or false. Like embarrassment itself doesn't say anything.
Exactly.
Like for example,
Exactly.
something maybe, and the thing is, for example, I may think that the fact that Jesus died on a cross is very embarrassing, right? A God dying almost naked on a cross. That's embarrassing.
Yes. Very
Right.
embarrassing.
However, just because I think that doesn't mean that Christians think that.
Yes.
Right.
True.
So the point is, like, this is completely subjective. Like, what is embarrassing is not defined. Like, what is
Yes.
embarrassing is completely subjective. So you
I
cannot
mean, it
say
depends.
that
It depends on
something-
the. It depends on the worldview of that particular people or culture of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
it
then
doesn't prove
and-
anything.
Yes, and also another thing I want to add is that this statement of he assumes that the we Muslims would record anything that would not be an embarrassment to the Prophet positively, and
Yeah.
if something that is positive will always be true to us, but that is not true, right? Because there is certain hadith which puts Islam in a positive light, but we reject those hadith because those hadith are found to be faulty or have a false isnad. Like for example, there's this famous hadith. The Prophet says that so-called. I mean, it's alleged. Okay, the so-called hadith says that the Prophet said that you must study as far as wide as possible, even to China. Okay, this is a very famous hadith, which is a fake, false hadith that has been circulated in the Muslim world. But this hadith, even though it casts the Prophet in a positive light, because it tells people to learn, to study, even to the far reaches of China. But this hadith is considered false because the isnad is not known, and it cannot be traced to the Prophet. So what is David talking about? I mean, it doesn't mean that a positive story a Muslim will accept it 100%. It doesn't mean an embarrassing story a Muslim will reject it 100%, or we accept it 100% either.
Yeah.
I mean, just because it's embarrassing, it doesn't mean that a Muslim will accept or reject it. Like what you said, because we base our sciences on whether, or we base something on whether a story is true or false based on isnad, based on the not just the matan but also the isnad. Okay, and this is some kitab al-rijal. Okay, and this is something which Christians do not have. That is why when you read the Bible, you see a lot of ridiculous things. Okay, like for example,
By the
Matthew
way,
20
there's one point that I forgot to add, which is that, for example, let's take this like story of like Jesus dying on a cross,
right?
And so basically, imagine I employ this whole principle, right? The principle of embarrassment.
Okay.
If I employ that, what happens? I think that this is embarrassing that Jesus died, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, it's true. Now imagine that back in the day, Christians didn't think that, so they thought that Jesus dying is a heroic thing.
Yeah.
So if they didn't think that, then they could have made it up because they thought it's a heroic thing. So me applying this principle leads me to a false belief, a false conclusion.
Exactly.
So it's impossible to know what's embarrassing for who, because we don't know people's intent.
Yeah, it's in the end, it's very subjective because we don't know what is embarrassing for people and what is not. You see?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's the whole point. So this so-called argument from embarrassment is a silly science lah. It's something that cannot be used as a yardstick to determine whether a story is true or false. Okay.
Also, another thing is, I think one of the people pointed out is that people could make up embarrassing stories to cover something even more embarrassing. This is another
Exactly.
problem that I think one scholar pointed out.
Yes. Exactly. See, yeah. So the thing is, crucifixion. The point of the crucifixion was to make it embarrassing for the person. Wouldn't someone want to cover it up because it's an embarrassment to them? You see?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the
Right.
first place, because you want to spread your religion. I mean, in terms of Christianity, wearing the Christian hat. Okay, because the crucifixion, the process of crucifixion is supposed to be a humiliating experience. Okay, and you believe that God died in such a humiliating manner, wouldn't you want to cover that up in the first place?
Hmm.
Yeah, you see, that is why Christians, they don't focus much on the crucifixion. They focus on the resurrection of Jesus. See, they don't focus much on the crucifixion. They know that Jesus died, and they know that inside they know that it's an embarrassment. So what they
Yeah.
do is they focus on the resurrection of Jesus. So on the third day, apparently, I mean, according to the Bible, Jesus was suddenly found to be alive. So the Christians say, "Oh, look, Jesus is alive. Jesus is born, has risen from the dead," or so they claim. So they don't really focus on the crucifixion because it's an embarrassment. They focus on the resurrection because for them it's a victory. See, even though you
Yeah.
try to kill our God, according to them, our God did not die; He's alive. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole
Yeah.
point of focusing on the resurrection of Jesus. Okay,
Yeah.
so the crucifixion is actually just a side story. The real purpose of a Christian is to celebrate the resurrection. You see,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not the crucifixion itself. So in a way, if we look at it, the crucifixion is actually an embarrassment to them because they don't promote the crucifixion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're covering it up. They just want to focus on the resurrection.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
another thing I want to point, like,
yeah, sure.
imagine we apply this criteria to whatever, right? Let's say,
Yeah,
in the end of like Spider-Man 1, spoilers by the way, Spider-Man
yeah.
gets beat the hell up by Green Goblin, right? That's embarrassing for Spider-Man. Does it mean that
Exactly.
Spider-Man is real? Does it mean everything that happened in Spider-Man is real?
Yeah, exactly. Is everything that happened in No Way Home real? I mean, the multiverse is
Yeah.
real. And also it's an embarrassment for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man because he couldn't save his girlfriend Gwen, right?
Yeah,
Gwen Stacy died,
spoilers.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He died in Amazing Spider-Man 2, right? So is that event true? Is Gwen Stacy real? You see, so it's a
It's
it's a total
nonsense.
fake science. It's fake science. It's just a
Yeah.
fake science. It's not a criterion for anything. Okay. So
Yeah, it's
do you want to
nonsense.
continue? So do you want to
Yeah,
continue
continue.
playing? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Is that when we open the Muslim sources, if we find stories that make Muhammad look stupid or insane or evil or possessed, the best explanation for why we have these stories is that these things really happened. And if they really happened, then Muhammad obviously existed. But we have to be careful here because what's embarrassing to Muslims today in the West wasn't necessarily embarrassing to Muslims nearly 14 centuries ago in Arabia. Muslims in our time are embarrassed by all kinds of things we read in the Quran.
Yeah,
and
by
the
the way,
Surah
this is the
Ghazi.
point he himself points
Yeah,
out and then
he
completely
yeah
ignores.
he keeps saying
He
that
contradicts
Muslims are
himself.
embarrassed. Yeah, I mean, what are we embarrassed by? We're not embarrassed by anything in the Quran.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Are we embarrassed by anything that the Quran says? I think if I were a Christian, I should be embarrassed by what the Bible says because the contents in the Bible some of them are very disgusting. Okay, I
Yeah.
should be embarrassed by what the contents of the Bible. I will touch that later. Okay, but yeah. So you want to continue?
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay, right.
And the Hadith. According to Muslim sources, Muhammad had sex with his prepubescent 9-year-old child bride Aisha.
Yeah, see, so
Yeah.
you see, I have to
Yeah,
interject here. So again, he repeats the same lie about Aisha. I mean, this has
Yeah.
been answered like a gazillion times. I lost count how many times I've tried to answer this issue, and
Yeah.
yet Christians keep coming up with the same repetitious lie. Let's
Yeah.
not forget. To counter that claim, they should look into
Yeah.
the Bible where Isaac married a 3-year-old Rebecca. Okay, so how
Yeah.
about that? The father of the Jews is a dad. Okay, is married a prepubescent girl. Okay, of
Yeah.
3 years old. Okay, using their logic. Okay, so I've answered this a gazillion times. I think you can find the video on my channel even. So I'm not going to waste my time repeating answering this, refuting this lie about Aisha's marriage, the marriage of Aisha to the Prophet. But to summarize, the marriage of Aisha with the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was a happy one. She never complained about her marriage. So why do these Christians, think that they have the authority to complain about Aisha's marriage to the Prophet? I've always wondered why these Christians are suddenly feminists. They want to, as though as they want to, defend Aisha, but in reality, they are trying to demean the Prophet. I mean, are you guys speaking on behalf of Aisha? Because Aisha herself did not ask for your help. Okay.
Yeah.
So why the F are you talking about this when there's no issue
By the
at
way,
all?
can I
Yeah.
share something?
Yeah, sure. Okay, go ahead. If you want to share something, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Share screen. Okay, hold on. No, wait. By the can you share like a Word file here?
I don't think so. I think you can only share slides or something. You can I don't think
Okay,
you
it's
can
fine,
share
it's fine.
documents.
Chrome
Yeah.
tab.
Unless if you put it in Google Docs and then you share that tab, then it's possible.
Okay, no problem, no problem. I just wanted
Yeah.
to share a hadith here.
Yeah, sure. If you can upload it into Google Sheet as Google Docs and then you can share that tab, then it's possible. Yeah.
Okay. Can you see the slide?
Okay, let me stop. I think I need to stop sharing my. Wait, let me share yours. Yeah, add to stream. Yeah, I'm sharing yours. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so this claim that he made that child bride is absolutely false because and I made a video on this, and in the video I showed I made the video against Apos, and you guys can check
Yeah.
out the video. I'll put the link below.
Mhm,
And
yeah.
so in the video I made it very clear that Aisha Radhanu herself did not see herself as a child. No one around her saw herself as a child, and she constantly mentions herself as a young lady or woman, right? And as a matter of fact, you can even see in hadiths that she was actually very tall for her age. So basically, she was a teenager.
Yes.
So, for example, in this hadith, you can read in one place. So basically, in the hadith, it describes there's in the day of Eid. So basically, the Prophet ﷺ asked Aisha if she wanted to see like one of the guys were playing with spears, if she wanted to see that, and she agreed, and then the Prophet, and check this out, made me stand behind him, and my cheek was touching his cheek. Now, do you think a child would be as tall as a Prophet? Exactly. She was a teenager. I mean, she was 9 years old, yes, but she was very grown for her age. And that's the point. And this whole idea that she was like this child bride and apostate prophet, like, did you saw the video of apostate prophet regarding Aisha?
I haven't yet, but inshallah I will. I didn't know that Apostate Prophet had a video on that because I don't deal with mutats. Okay, I don't. That's not my calling.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
but
So
I will
basically,
inshallah. Yeah.
he made a video where where he showed this picture of like this grown man holding the hand of the like this child, which is false. That's not how it was. Like they were like of this, they were almost as tall as each other, and the prophet was quite tall himself. So she was physically mature. This is not something they want to tell people because they want to make them seem like she was like this child who doesn't know what they were doing, even though she herself considered herself a woman or young woman, and and she was like wearing hijab because you wear hijab after like puberty, and she was as tall as a prophet, and still like this, like call her a child, which is ridiculous.
Yes, exactly. They want to make her out as though as she's helpless, she's unable to defend herself, she's not
Yeah,
intelligent enough to
yeah.
In fact, we have records of in the hadith where where Aisha argued with the Prophet. I mean, would a child argue with an adult? I mean, there's so many hadiths where where Aisha actually fought against verbally, of course, when argued against the Prophet when she disagreed with something, and she's not a shy person who would want to hide her feelings. She would actually, argue against the Prophet. Does this sound like a child to you?
Yeah,
You know, yeah. I mean, it's nonsense. It's just
Nonsense.
nonsense. Yeah, it's nonsense. I mean, this polemic has been going on for years. So, I can tell you, by the way, this polemic, because I have been in apologetics for a long time,
Yeah.
this polemic was first started by this Arab Christian. Until today, we don't know who he is. Called Silas. Okay, he posted this article on Answering Islam, because Answering Islam is where everything began. Where he wrote a very long article about the marriage of Aisha. Before that happened, before he posted that article, nobody knew or cared about the marriage of Aisha on the internet. Okay, this was in 1998. Okay, this
Wow.
lie started in 1998. Yeah, I was still considered a greenhorn in the apologetics world, but I started to follow everyone. So and then later on, it was picked up by that botak Shem Shamoun. And then it was still, because the internet at the time between 1998 to 2005 2006, it was still contained in the virtual world, because not many people have access to the internet in this time, right? So it wasn't widespread outside of the internet. Nobody knows about this polemic. Okay, it was only when Facebook started becoming popular, Instagram, all the social media, all the social Twitter, everything started becoming popular. That is when this lie about the marriage of Aisha started to spread wildly, and it became out of control.
By the way, can I read a comment? This is funny. Okay, so there's this comment.
Sure.
Christian Apologetics 2021.
Okay, let me show this comment.
This is not just Dr. J. Smith and David, but this was brought up by Islamic scholar Robert Spencer.
that bearded moron is a scholar. Oh my God! My cat will probably be more qualified to talk about Islam than that moron Robert Spencer. I'm telling you that. Okay, my cat has more qualification. Okay, right? My cat can talk better. Okay, she can meow better. Okay, all right. Okay, I have more respect for my cat than I do Robert Spencer. Right? That is how low I think of Robert Spencer, because he's not a scholar. Okay, he's just an Islamophobe who's funded by this foundation. I don't recall the foundation at the moment. I think it's Horowitz Foundation or something like that. So this foundation actually funds people like Robert Spencer to churn out lies and allegations against Islam, and it brings them billions of dollars. You can actually Google this. Okay, it's actually an industry. Okay, Islamophobia is actually an industry, and it's spearheaded by people like Robert Spencer, Pamela Geller, and a few more others. I don't recall the names, but just Google it and you can find the information. It's not something which is a secret anymore. Okay, so to call someone like Robert Spencer a scholar is an insult to intelligence. Okay, it's an insult to intelligence. It's an insult to all real scholars out there. Okay, please don't put him as a scholar on equal par with real scholars. Okay,
he's as much of a scholar as Christian Prince is.
Exactly.
A scholar.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I agree with you 100%, 200%. Okay, right, yeah. Okay, so
let's continue.
All right. Okay, let's continue this. Right.
For the slave girls, he allowed his followers to rape their female captives and to have sex with prostitutes and to beat their wives into submission. Muhammad ordered Muslims to assassinate his critics,
blah 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 blah,
and to violently subjugate Jews and Christians. He supported his religion by robbing.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to share something else.
Money. Muhammad bought, owned, sold.
Sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Share this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have an example of a few marriages that happened under Catholic Church.
All right. Go ahead. Share that.
This is quite interesting.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Can you see it? Okay. So this is Richard of Shrewsbury. He's a Duke of York. And he basically got married at the age of 4 Okay, two, and let me share this. Now, can you see it?
Yep, I can see it. I can see it.
Okay. So Anna de Mowbray, and she was basically a Duchess of York, and she was married to this boy, this 4-year-old boy, and she was like 5 years of age. So I can read this. Anna de Mowbray, 8th Countess of Norfolk, later Duchess of York.
Yeah, this is actually common
Like
among
that's
European loyalty in this era, in the Middle Ages.
yeah,
Very, very
November
common.
1481, was the child bride of Richard of Shrewsbury, Duke of York, one of the princes in the Tower. She died at the age of 8. Okay, so here it says talks about marriage on January 15, on 15 January 1478, age 5. She was married to Stephen Chapel, Westminster, of Richard of Shrewsbury, Duke of York, 4-year-old younger son, King Edward, and his Queen Elizabeth Woodville. They even have a picture. You see this?
Yep, I can see it. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, this is the good example of child brides. Child groom and bride. Oh my God.
So yeah, it's hypocrisy. And
Yes.
also, like I found
It's
this
actually
like
not really it's actually not hypocrisy as much as it is ignorance. Okay, it's also about ignorance as well. So
yeah.
it's about ignorance of their own history. You see,
Yeah.
because in Europe this is normal. Okay, in the Middle Ages, royalty giving off their child as a bride or as a groom to another royal family in order to establish ties. This is normal. This is normal in that era. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
actually,
yeah.
Christian Stack Exchange, this website, like where Christians ask question.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me share this.
Yeah. Go ahead and
So
share.
someone
Yeah.
actually asked a question there regarding this,
Okay.
and so basically they asked like, I saw this in this movie, like this young girl was married to like this young boy. Okay, for example, let me read this. I was watching a fictional series situated in France, where a girl princess aged 8 married a 18-year-old man prince through the Catholic Church. I wonder whether that was actually possible. And someone answers, and this is the top answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it says that the church has the authority to determine impending to marriages, but according to then they quote a few things.
Yeah.
Thus, your now some people here, it says that it was permissible and fully legal for children below the age of consent to marry in the Catholic Church, provided they had papal distribution. Such dispensation were granted mainly for diplomatic reasons. So yeah, even they are like admitting this, like people who
Yeah.
actually know,
Yeah.
but because evangelicals, like a lot of evangelicals,
Yeah.
don't know this, they
The
take issue with
Protestants will just deny this history and say, "Oh, the Catholics are kafir. The Catholics are infidels. Yeah, we are the true
yeah,
church. We
yeah,
represent the true Christ." You see, but this is
yeah,
just to us it's no different. I mean, whether you are Catholic or you are Protestant, you are both Christians. Okay,
yeah,
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, and another, I think they quote a bunch of, like, for example, Isabella of Valois,
Yes.
the daughter of King Charles VI of France, married King Richard II of England,
Mhm.
and she was of 6, and he was of 29. She was
Ha,
6 years old and married a 29-year-old man.
There you go.
So,
There you go. There you go.
yeah,
There you go. You see the hypocrisy of these Christians.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's not a surprise for me because
yeah,
I'm beyond surprise now. Okay.
yeah,
So shall we continue? Yeah.
yeah. Let's continue.
All right.
And traded black African slaves. All of this is embarrassing to Muslims in our time, which is why Muslim leaders usually cover up this information.
Who's
We have to
covering
remember
up
that
this
these
information?
facts weren't embarrassing.
Okay. Sorry. Who covered up this information? I mean, the fact that you know about it shows that we didn't cover up this information, right?
Yeah,
Anyway, he's just manipulating everything. The so-called rape of captives. I mean, what rape of captives? We're not even allowed to rape anyone. I mean, what is he
yeah.
talking about? You see, what is
Okay,
he
so
talking about?
in
Yeah,
the Bible, they can
yeah.
take concubines.
Yeah, just numbers.
And
Okay,
there's
I'm going
nothing
to.
in the Bible that says that you need their permission. For
Yeah,
example,
I
can I
mean,
share a
I'm
Bible
going to.
verse?
I'm going to show the Bible passage which you're talking about, right?
Okay,
So
okay, okay, yeah.
hang on, let me pull it up, right? So this is actually a good. Yeah, you just point out something very interesting. You just mentioned something interesting. That let me hang
But
on. Let
bro,
me
I can
share.
see you. It's dark.
Huh? You can't see me.
No, no.
Why
And
is
your
it dark?
screen is dark.
I don't know. Maybe it's because of the sharing. Okay, hang on. Let me change this. Yeah, let me try this. Can you see my screen now?
No, no. No, I mean I can see you. Like you're in the darkness.
Okay. I don't know what's wrong with my camera. Something wrong is with my camera. Yeah. I don't know. There's something wrong with my camera. I don't know. It's not working. Oh, okay. Now it's
Oh
working
yeah,
now.
back.
Okay, it's back. I don't know why. I think it hang or something because of too much nonsense from the Christians, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is the Bible verse which talks about a lot of nasty things happening. This, by the way, during the time of Moses. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so vengeance on the Midianites. Okay, I always like to quote this verse to them, to the Christians, when when they talk about the so-called war, against in Islamic history, and they have no answer to this. Okay, so vengeance on the Midianites. The Lord said to Moses, "Take vengeance on the Midianites for the Israelites. After that, you'll be gathered to your people." So Moses said to the people, "Arm some of your men to go to war against the Midianites, so that they may carry out the Lord's vengeance on them. Send into battle 1,000 men from each of the tribes of Israel." So times 12. Okay. Uh, okay. Then let me skip this. They fought against the Midian. Sorry, they fought against Midian as the Lord commanded Moses, and killed every man. Okay, and killed every man. And then and then they also mentioned the victims'
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
And then the Israelites captured the Midianite women and children, and took
Yeah.
all the Midianite herds, flocks, and goods as plunder. So
Yeah.
basically, the people, Moses and his men were robbers. Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, according to the Christian logic, okay.
Yeah.
According to Christian logic, Moses and his men were robbers. Okay,
Yeah.
so
And they said,
yeah. And they
that
said that the
prophet was a
prophet
robber.
and they said the prophet Solomon and Salam were robbers. See, so this is clearly plunder. It clearly says this: the Israelites captured the Midianite women and children, took all the Midianite herds, flocks, and goods as plunder. They burned all the towns where Midianites had settled, as well as all their camps. They took
Yeah.
all the plunder and spoils, including the people and animals, and
Yeah.
brought the captives, spoils, and plunder to Moses and Eleazar the priest. Okay, and
Yeah.
then this is another interesting part. In verse number 14, Moses was angry with the officers of the army. Okay, take note. According to the Bible, the prophet Moses was angry with the Israelites. Now the
Yeah.
question is why? Okay, why was he
Yeah.
angry? The answer is, Moses asked, "Have you allowed all the women to leave?" He asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord. Okay. Now
Yeah.
kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourselves every girl who has never slept with a man. I mean,
Uh,
the reason why the prophet Moses, okay, alayhi salam, in this chapter was angry with the Israelites was because they did not kill the women. Do you understand that? Do you understand this? The implications
yeah.
of this. So you're actually no. The Bible is actually saying that that Moses allows for once his people to kill everyone, including the women.
Yeah.
Okay, and also another interesting thing is that he said kill every woman who slept with a man, meaning probably a wife lah. Okay, but save for yourself every girl who has never slept with a man. So basically, he's saying to rape the captives, rape the
Yeah.
virgin captives, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the verse goes on. Anyone who has killed someone or touched someone who was killed must stay outside the camp. Blah 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 blah. And then
Yeah.
Eleazar the priest said to the soldiers that gone into battle, "This is what is required by the law that the Lord
Yeah.
gave Moses." Okay. It then talks about the basically this talking about the division of wealth. Right. We also have this
Yeah.
concept in Islam. Okay. The
Yeah.
division of wealth. So
Yeah.
that dividing the spoils. Then the Lord said, the Lord here meaning God, said to Moses, "You and Eleazar the priest and the family heads of the community are to count all the people and animals that were captured, divide the spoils equally between the soldiers who took part in the battle and the rest of the community. So they're talking about plunder and dividing wealth. Okay, so
Yeah.
the rest of the basically the rest of the chapter is that. Okay, then yeah, I think that's all. But the
Okay.
point is,
Can I can we read a comment? Like
sure. Which comment you want to me to read?
there's a Brian Bradley.
Okay. Um. But these
But
people were
those
bad.
people were bad people, and they defended themselves.
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is Moses allowed for rape and plunder of women and children. That's the whole point. It
I
is
mean, we can say that
yeah,
same about the prophet,
yeah,
right? I
yes,
mean,
exactly. That's our argument as well. We are saying that the prophet defended, the community in a just war. But you
yeah,
Christians don't believe us. You say that the prophet is a robber and a plunderer, a thief, etc. But this
yeah,
is exactly what Moses did. Okay, to the
yeah,
Midianites. So who is to say that the Midianites were bad people and the Israelites were good people? Because
yeah,
if I were looking from a perspective of a non-Christian or someone, let's assume, na'uzubillah, I'm not a Muslim or a Christian, I'm an atheist who doesn't believe even in Musa alayhi salam. If I read this
Mm.
chapter, I would say, from my point of view, the Midianites were the good people. They were victims because being plundered, they were being raped, they were being killed by the
yeah,
Israelites, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so this is the non-believer speaking. Of course, as a
yeah.
Muslim, me as a Muslim, I have no problem. I generally, whether this chapter is true or not, I don't actually have a problem with it, because we believe that Musa alayhi salam was sent by God, and whatever he
Mm.
does is ordained by God. So we have no problems with it.
Mm.
But
Mm.
the Christians, being the hypocrites that they are, when
Yeah,
the prophet does something similar, not as bad as this. We don't plunder and kill women, by the way, during a war. We're not even allowed to do that. Okay,
mm.
in Islamic battles or Islamic warfare, you're not even allowed to cut a tree. Okay, you're not even allowed to
Yeah,
cut a tree or burn a field. This is in the Quran and also in the Hadith, right?
yeah,
I mean, this is so we actually have laws guiding us on how to conduct war on warfare.
yeah.
But when we follow these proper procedures, we don't rape people,
I
we don't.
mean, just
Yeah,
look at the conquest of Mecca, right? I mean,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So the conquest of Mecca, the prophet marched in with 10,000 men, and nobody was killed or murdered or pillaged or raped. Okay,
yeah.
it's that simple. Okay, whereas you compare that to the Christian history when they first conquered Jerusalem, okay, in 100, I think it's 10,026, I don't really remember. They plundered and killed everyone, every inhabitant in the city of Jerusalem, to the point, according to Christian chroniclers, by the way, who recorded the
Mm.
incident, the blood flowing from the victims were at the
By the
knee
way,
level.
bro,
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
see you. Can you like make the screen so that we can see?
Okay, sure. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
your screen is vanished again.
okay, I don't know. I think it's something
Okay, okay.
wrong. Maybe it's
It's back, back,
lagging or
back,
something, right?
back.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So basically, I think Christians don't actually have a moral say in telling Muslims about warfare, because the Christian record of warfare is not very pretty. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
look at Christian history. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of they actually they like to they actually plan they do exactly as how Numbers 31 describes it, actually, to be honest. Yeah, if you look in history, that is how they have done it. Okay, right from the very beginning. Yeah, in the history. Okay. Anything else you want to add before we continue with the?
Yeah, I wanted to share. By the way, one thing you'll notice is that when it comes to arguing against, Islam, they basically become liberals because they're not making Christian arguments; they're
Yes,
making liberal
exactly.
arguments,
They are arguing from a secular viewpoint.
liberal
They don't
perspective.
exactly from a liberal perspective, a secular liberal perspective. They don't argue from the Bible. You see, they argue from maybe from the concept of human rights, or maybe Geneva Conventions, etc. They're all man-made laws. You see, but has
Yeah,
nothing to whatsoever to do with the Bible. You see,
yeah.
yeah. So let me switch the screen back. Yeah, sorry about my screen. I don't know why is it happening this way, but just ignore it. I will appear. I guess I will appear once in a while. Are there? See, it appears again. Yeah, I can't do anything about it. This is something to do with the network, I think. All right.
Yeah, yeah,
So shall um any comment, any particular comment you want to answer?
yeah. So there's one. Can you pull it up? Why did Saudi something?
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Okay. So why did Saudi Arabia changed Mecca? When did they do that? Can you can you show any evidence for that? Like, why would they
I don't
change
understand.
Mecca?
I mean, I think he's talking about the construction and everything. I mean,
Okay.
what's wrong with progress? What's you have problem? Do you have a problem with progress? I mean, you're not expecting Mecca to be a caravan city forever, right? Of course, there
Yeah.
will be progress. I mean, we may not agree with how the Saudis are developing Mecca, but it's still a development. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So yeah. So anyway, you want to continue this?
Oh yeah, I wanted to share something. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and share. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you see? Okay, so
Yep.
this is an interesting story. Um, so it says that King Solomon had loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter, Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidomites, and Hittites. They were from nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites, "You must not intermarry with them, because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods." Uh, no, hold on. Yeah. So, nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. He had 700 wives, and get this, he had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines. This is David, sorry, Solomon. So, Solomon had 300 concubines. Then, we go to David, and this is in 2 Samuel 15, 13 to 16. Uh, so, here basically it says that uh, hold on, this is not. Oh yeah, this one clarifies that David is like a prophet, right?
Yeah. One thing about the Christians, right? Some of them actually argue. Sometimes, if you ask them about David's actions, they actually deny
Yeah,
that David was a
yeah,
prophet.
yeah, yeah. That's why I wanted to share this. So, and this one, you see. Okay, okay, so from 13 to 16, if you go 13, okay, here we go. David flees. A messenger came and told David that hearts of people of Israel are with Absalom. Then David said to all his officials who were with him in Jerusalem, "Come, we must flee, or none of us will escape from Absalom. We must leave immediately, or he will move quickly to overtake us and bring ruin on us and put the city to the sword." The king's official answered him, "Your servants are ready to go whenever our lord, the king, chooses." The king set out with his entire household following him, and he left 10 concubines to take care of the palace. So David, being a prophet, he had concubines. So,
Yeah, yeah.
like,
It's a normal practice for kings
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and kings of Israel
yeah,
to do this.
yeah, yeah. There's another thing. There's a book where it says that Marozia is a woman who became a concubine of 45-year-old Pope Sargius III when she was 15, and later took on other husbands, lovers. You can actually read about this.
Yeah. You see, that's the problem with Christians. They don't read the history.
Yeah, you see this Unzipped?
Okay, I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the name of the book, Unzipped, The Popes Bear All, a frank study of sex and corruption in the Vatican.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can read this, and also early Christians actually allowed men to have concubines. Did you know this? So
Oh, okay.
let
Okay.
me share this. So basically, the Council of Toledo, which was held like in the 400, in its 17th canon, legislate as follows for laymen. After pronouncing a sentence of excommunication against any who, in addition to a wife, keeps a concubine, it says, but if a man has no wife, but a concubine instead of a wife, let him not be refused communion. Only let him consent to be united with one woman, whether wife or concubine. So basically, you can read about this. Hold on, let me just share.
I mean, this is, I think, it's so obvious, right? The hypocrisy of the Christians, right? When it comes to such matters. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, can you see this?
Yep. I
Yeah.
can see it.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one.
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this by the way encyclopedia, like the Catholic encyclopedia, Council of Toledo. So they allowed concubines.
Yeah.
They allowed concubines, and now they're, they're
Now they're
talking about
against it. No, they're just making noise about it because, like you said, Christians today are motivated by liberal secular values. They're not nothing to do with religion now. So nothing to do even with the Bible. So they just impose their secular liberal views upon the Bible.
yeah,
So when Muslims, follow the Quran and basically do something which even their Bible allows,
yeah,
they just make a lot of noise about it. Yeah, that's
yeah,
the that's basically the essence of it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think my camera is also fizzling out. I don't know. I'll be in and out. I don't know. I don't understand why my camera is working at some of the time and other
Can you
times it's not working. Yeah.
like camera turn the camera on and off?
Yeah, I tried
Like is
that,
that
but
like
it just makes your face appear more there. You see. So I just leave it. I mean, eventually I'm going to appear anyway. Okay. Yeah. So
wait,
you want me
hey,
to yeah.
Brian Bradley says that David wasn't really a prophet.
Okay, this one, right?
Dude, I just showed you the verse.
I mean,
Do I need
stop
to show it
living.
again?
Yeah, basically, stop living in denial. Okay.
Hold
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Let me share the passage again.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh,
I mean, these Christians, they really live in denial, do they? So he's saying, he's actually responding to you just now. Not all Christians, the KKK doesn't, the Lord Resistance doesn't. So, so what if they don't? I mean, the fact is, your Bible says that David was a prophet. Okay.
so here, let me read. Man and
Yeah.
brethren, let me freely speak unto you of the patriarch David, that he
Yes.
is both dead and buried,
I
and
think this is
his
from Acts,
spectre
right? If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken. Yeah.
is with us unto this day. Therefore, being a prophet and knowing, hold on, prophet and knowing that God had sworn an oath to him, and that from the fruit of
Yeah.
his loins, according to the flesh, he would
Yeah.
raise up
Yeah. Yeah.
Christ to sit on his throne.
Yeah,
So he's like an ancestor.
basically
Yeah,
the passage in Acts is saying that David was a prophet, and this is by the apostles of Jesus. Okay, the
yeah.
apostles of
Acts
Jesus
2:29,
themselves admit
2:30.
this. Yes, so it's in Acts. So just go and read the verse in Acts. Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah, don't come complaining to us because this is from your own New Testament. It's not from
yeah,
it's not even from the new old. It's not even from the Old Testament. It's from the New Testament. It's from
yeah. New
Acts.
Testament. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So because sometimes Christians they say, "Oh, this from the Old Testament. We don't believe in the Old Testament." Blah blah blah. So this is from the New Testament, which is what you believe in. Okay. So shall we continue with the video?
yeah. There's something I wanted to share.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Share.
You know this accusation, like
The David from David versus Goliath. What other David do you have in mind, Brian? Obviously, you're not talking about David Wood, right? We're not saying that David Wood is a prophet, right? Come
Okay,
on, use
so
your
there's
brain.
a hadith. Can you see it? Yeah, this is a hadith in Sunan Abu Dawud, general
Okay,
behavior, Kitab
okay,
al
let me
Adab.
yep, let me share this. Yeah, all right.
So this is regarding adab, right? Behavior. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Feed those of your slaves who please you from what you eat, and clothe them with what you clothe yourselves. But sell those who do not please you, and do not punish Allah's creature." Can you read about this in Sunan Abi Dawud, 5161, and this is Sahih according to Sheikh Albani. So yeah, in Islam, you're not allowed to hurt slaves,
Yeah, our
and
treatment
but
of
they,
slaves is much more benign than the Christian version of it.
yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. There's even one incident where one companion, he basically hurt a slave, and he felt so guilty that he let her go. So here it is, because the Prophet ﷺ said, if you hurt your slave, you should let them go. And this is in the Book of Oath, Treatment of Slaves. The chapter and heading itself is named Treatment of Slave, and the expiation of one who slaps his slave. I have so basically one of the companion, Ibn Omar, he said, I have. He basically hurt his slave, and he said, "I have caused you pain." He said, "No," but he said, Ibn Omar said, "You are free." He then took some hold of something from the earth and said, "There is no reward for me, even to the weight equal to it." I heard Allah's Messenger saying, "He who beats a slave without cognizable offense of his or slaps him, then expiation is that he should be freed." So yeah, I mean, so the ruling is that if you hurt your slave, you're supposed to free them.
Sorry. Since we are on the subject of slaves, I want to share one last verse before we continue with
Yeah, yeah.
David and Jay Smith's fake debate, right? It's also about slaves, but it's in the Bible. It's from Exodus. Okay, uh, something here which you can compare with the Islamic version of it, right? So verse
Yeah.
number 20. Okay, when a man strikes his slave, male or female, with a rod, and the slave dies under his hand, he shall be avenged. But if the slave survives a day or two, he is not to be avenged, for the slave is his money. So if you beat your slave and your slave doesn't die, then you can escape punishment. It doesn't matter. So you can beat him as much as you want. Just make sure that he doesn't die. Okay,
Yeah,
that is how
yeah.
violent Christian understanding of slavery is. Okay, but in
By the way,
Islam, if
the
you beat,
the the, the hadith that I shared, there are different
yes,
versions of the same hadith, and a lot of
yeah,
many of the versions doesn't even say that you're allowed to, like, it even has to be a cognitive offense, like you
yeah,
are not allowed
yeah,
to hurt them. Period. Some
yeah,
of those
exactly.
hadith do say that, so they were
Okay.
different version of it.
Yes,
But the
yes.
point
I
is
guess.
that
Yeah.
you're not allowed to hurt your slave.
Exactly. I mean, we're not allowed to hurt the slaves, obviously, because we treat slaves as human beings, not property, as how the as the verse, not as how the verse in Exodus chapter 21 says. Okay,
Right.
so in Christianity or Judeo Christianity, a slave is no better than property, but in Islam, a slave is treated as a humble, as a servant. In fact, we are actually encouraged to manumit slaves. We are actually
Yeah,
encouraged
yeah,
to free slaves. For
yeah.
example, let's say you don't finish the fast, in Ramadan, and there's a certain you need to pay a fidya, you need to pay a fine, so
Hmm.
you need to actually free your slaves, okay,
Yeah,
in order to
yeah.
pay
One
the
of the
fine.
charities is
Yeah.
considered to freeing slaves.
Exactly. So there's no such commandment in the Bible. The Bible doesn't tell you to free your slaves.
No,
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
it tells
in
you to beat them,
Islam,
beat
yeah,
them.
exactly, beat them. So in Islam, freeing a
Yeah,
slave brings great reward. Whereas
yeah,
in Christianity, you can beat your slave until black and blue, and as long as your slave doesn't die, you won't get any punishment, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. So that's the difference here. Okay.
yeah.
So anyway, you want to continue with this
Okay, wait, hold on. Can you just react to like this Brian Bradley?
you mean this?
Slavery is wrong no matter how you treat them. Okay, then why did Jesus have slaves? Like, I mean, like, why did Moses have slaves? Why did
Yeah.
David had slaves?
Yeah, why did David have
Weren't they
slaves? Why did
prophet?
Solomon have slaves? Why did the kings of Israel had slaves? Yeah. I mean,
It's the
yeah, okay.
hypocrisy,
Yeah, it's
complete
hypocrisy.
hypocrisy.
Wasn't Hagar supposed to be a slave before Abraham freed her and married her?
So
Right?
their
Yeah,
prophets
yeah,
can have like slaves and
yeah,
concubines,
yeah.
but if the prophet had like
Yeah, if
tells
Islam
them that
allows
you
for
should
it,
free
that means
slaves, then it's wrong.
exactly. If Islam allows for slavery, that means Islam is evil. But if the
Yeah,
Bible allows for slavery, it's fine because it's all right.
yeah.
I don't get the logic, man. I don't
And
get the logic.
it's not even
Yeah.
true, by the way. Even if you argue from a liberal perspective,
Yeah.
sex slavery is actually massive now. By the way, I don't know if
Yes.
you know this. Sex slavery
Yeah.
is like $1 billion industry right now.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
have
I didn't know that.
a lot of research data on this, but I can bring it up
I didn't
right
know
now. I'll
that.
make a
I
separate
didn't know
video
that.
on this. So
Okay. Right.
banning
Right.
slavery didn't do anything. So let's just say that
But
it's
I
actually
have
more popular than ever.
speaking about slavery, I came across an article saying that the selling of football players is actually a form of slavery.
Yeah,
Because you bind them with a contract, and then they have to stay with the club. You
yeah,
pay
yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars, billions of dollars. It's like a mini slavery, in the
Yeah.
footballing world actually.
Yeah.
So in a way, that is also slavery.
Yeah. So yeah, they're making like liberal arguments. These are not Christian
Yes,
arguments.
yes, exactly. These are not based on the Bible. See,
Yeah,
it's based on liberal Western secular worldview. Yeah,
liberalism. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you want to continue with this video?
yeah. Let's continue looking.
All right.
To the Muslim community centuries ago in the Middle East. Muslims back then didn't have a problem with child marriage or beating wives in submission or raping female captives or anything else I just mentioned. So the principle of embarrassment wouldn't really apply here because if these practices were acceptable to Muslims in the early centuries of Islam, there's no reason that someone couldn't have included them in fictional stories about a prophet he was inventing.
He just contradicted himself.
But we find other
He explained
stories
himself.
in
Yeah. Okay. What did he contradict himself with?
I mean, he did it. He just said that, like, principle of embarrassment is acceptable.
Yeah.
Now he's undermining the whole thing.
Now
He's
he's saying that it
but
doesn't apply
it's
to Muslims. It's subjective, is it? Yeah, he's not being consistent. Yeah, David is known for inconsistency. Yeah, I mean he likes to flip-flop
the
here and there.
psycho doesn't have comprehension skill.
I mean the psychopath only knows how to beat his father with a hammer. How do you expect him to have comprehension skills? That's the only thing he's good at, holding a hammer
Yeah.
and beating someone's head with it. Okay, right. So let's continue. Right. Yeah.
the Muslim sources that are quite different. We find stories that are pretty embarrassing to all people from all times. And we find stories that we know were embarrassing even in the early stages of Islam because we find early Muslims trying to water down the stories or to explain them away or to erase them from history. Let me give you 10 examples of things that no one would invent about a prophet who's trying to convince people to believe in. One, we know from Muslim sources that when Muhammad began receiving revelations, his first impression of his revelations was that they were demonic. When Muhammad fled the cave of Hira, he was convinced that the first 5 verses of Surat Al-Alaq had been put into his head by a poetry demon. What changed his mind? His wife and her cousin, who weren't there, had no idea what he
Can I
encountered.
interject?
Yeah, I actually want to address this, but I don't know. You want to go? You want to go first?
Do you want to say first? Like, what?
Because he's talking about the Fatra incident, and I have no problems. I know that there are scholars who they debate this, and some of them say that the Fatra incident has weak isnad because there's no chain of narration. But for me, I have no problems with the Fatra incident. So the incident. So for those who are not aware, what is the Fatra incident?
By the way, bro, you're kind of
Yeah.
cutting off.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah,
Testing again.
yeah.
Okay. So anyway, to continue, just to explain what is the Fatra incident. The Fatra incident is the time period between revelations, between the time when the Prophet ﷺ received his first revelation, first at the cave of Hira, the first verse, Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq, and then the second surah Ya Mudaththir, right? Or the person with a blanket, right? And then from that point, the revelation stopped for a while until it continued several months later. Okay, so between this time period, the hadith, the sirah says that the prophet was in a mode of distress because he did not understand what is going on. Why is this happening to him? Why is he receiving revelation and then suddenly the revelation suddenly stopped? Yeah, and he's not receiving anything anymore. No word for what actually happened. So according to the sirah, the prophet went to the highest mountain and he wanted to commit suicide. He wanted to kill himself, but each time he tried to do that, the angel Gabriel appeared before him and tell him to stop and to tell him to turn back. So this continued for several months until the reversion continued. So basically, David Wood is polemicizing this incident, and I know this story because I wrote about this. I wrote about this incident in. I'm going to show you the date of this article that I wrote. Okay, I'm going to share with you. I actually wrote a refutation to this lie. Okay, not to David,
Yeah.
but to that guy called Silas. He was the one. Again, he's this mysterious Arab Christian guy, Silas from Answering Christianity. He was the one who made this polemic. David Wood is actually copying from him. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
he's just a copier. He doesn't create this. He doesn't research this. Okay, so I'm going to share with you this article. Note. Okay, so this is the title. Okay, the Fatra, intermission of the Prophet Muhammad. Okay, so it explains what I just said just now. So notice the date of this article. Can you see it?
Yeah.
2005. I wrote this article in 2005. Today is 2021, and still these Christians repeat the same lie over and over and over and over again. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this
By the
article
way,
is,
can I
yeah, yeah, sure.
say something? Whatever
Yeah,
it
sure,
is.
sure. Go ahead. You want
Can I
you want
share
to
the screen? If it's
okay,
okay.
okay. Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen and you can share your screen before I share my screen
Okay.
again. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, because I want to show something as well in this article. Okay. So Emma, go ahead and
But
share your
bro,
screen.
you're kind of cutting off. Can you like turn
Yeah,
off the camera and then come back?
yeah, I'll
I think
try
that might be
to
easier.
I'll try to do that. Right. Okay, does it work? Nah, it's not working. Nah, it's not okay. Never mind, just ignore me and just continue. Yeah. I'll
Okay.
appear again. I'll appear again. Anyway,
So,
don't worry.
so David basically talked about the incident of when he got the first revelation, right?
Yes.
So if
Yes.
you
The Fatrah.
read the actual hadith, it's in Bukhari.
Yes.
None of it said that he thought that like Gabriel was like the demon.
Exactly.
He said that
Exactly.
Angel Gabriel, he thought that he was a demon, but he doesn't say that. And as a matter of fact, it's narrated by Aisha. And the commencement of the divine inspiration to Allah's messenger was in the form of good dreams, which
Yes.
came true, like
Yes.
bright daylight.
Yes.
And then a love of seclusion was bestowed upon him. He used to go to in seclusion in the cave of Hira, where he used to worship Allah alone
Yes.
continuously for many days before his desire to see his family. He used to take with him the journey food for the stay and then come back with his wife Khadija to take his food likewise again till suddenly the truth descended upon him while he was in the cave of Hira. The angel came to him again. Angel. He didn't say that he was like a demon.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
he didn't
Exactly.
think that. So came to him and asked him to read. The Prophet replied, I do not know how to read. The angel caught me forcefully and pressed me so hard that I could not bear it anymore. So yeah, basically, nowhere does it say that he thought that he was like a demon and they ran away, but because that's what like he claimed. So it's a lie. It's nonsense.
Of course, without a doubt. Okay. So can I share my article again? I want to show something interesting from this article
Sure.
because this article has okay. So basically okay, first I need to answer this. There's a comment from Brad. How long have you been doing this, Emmy and Jay? Why don't you ask David that question? Because but anyway, I can tell you that I predate David Wood, and I came in right after Jay Smith. So yeah, do the math. Okay, it's around. I started in the late 90s. Okay, late 90s. I have been doing this apologetics work since the late 1990s. Okay, back when the internet was just a modem. When you need to dial in the modem, you need to dial the modem and you need to wait for the music, for the sound to connect to the internet. That was when I started being active. So I've been around for a very long time. Okay, very long time. Okay. So anyway, going back to this article, yeah, you can read all the arguments here where I argued about the religious significance of the Fatra. But what I want to
Yeah.
share is that the biblical prophets themselves experienced something similar to what the prophet experienced. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So for example, the prophet Isaiah, okay, According to Isaiah, he encountered God seated on the throne, accompanied by two seraphs. Seraph is like something of an angel. Okay, Isaiah chapter 6, verse 1 to 2. Isaiah exhibited signs of fear and thought that his doom was coming when he heard the seraphs' voices. So this is in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 4 to 5. He was reassured and comforted by one of the seraphs, Isaiah chapter 6, verse 6 to 7, and informed by God of his mission, Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. So basically, Isaiah had a similar experience to what the prophet experienced. He had the revelation, he was afraid, he was fearful, he thought he was going to die, and then he had to be reassured by one of the angels that, that this is God, this is a godly mission. Okay. Now the second prophet, Jeremiah. According to Jeremiah, God told him to speak on his behalf to his people. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4 to 5. Jeremiah replied, there was just a child. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 6. God reassured Jeremiah and touched his mouth to give him an authority on his behalf. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 7 to 9. Again, similar experience. Okay, similar experience to even the prophet. Okay. Now Ezekiel. According to Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel, he encountered a startling vision of a windstorm coming from the north, bringing a great cloud, a fiery light inside it lit up all around, and accompanied by an unknown creature or unknown creatures. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4 to 24. Ezekiel saw a man on a throne and encountered a likeness of God's glory. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 25 to 28. And he fell on his face and heard a voice speaking. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 28. Okay. So again, similar experience. Daniel, the prophet Daniel. According to Daniel, he encountered the angel Gabriel who came near where he stood, and he was frightened and fell on his face. Daniel chapter 8, verse 16 to 17. After the experience of this encounter, and now this is very interesting, Daniel was overcome with sickness for several days, beginning of Daniel chapter 8, verse 27. But he was appalled by his vision and did not understand it. End of Daniel chapters 8, verse 27. Okay, you see? So from these examples that I've shown, it's clear that all prophets, when they encounter a vision or revelation from God, they will experience some personal distress. It doesn't mean that they met a devil. It doesn't mean that they met the devil. So if David wants to say that because of this so-called because of this so-called suicidal thoughts that the prophet, the fear that the prophet experienced is because of the devil, then I think he should call Isaiah, Daniel, Ezekiel, Jeremiah as being visited by the devil. All of them must have been visited by the devil. Please don't be a hypocrite, yeah, because they all experience sickness or fear or impending doom, right? Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I think that's what I have to say. Anyway, you want to add anything else before we continue?
No, I think I'll add something later when he brings up the satanic verses.
Okay, all right, yeah. Okay, so
Let's
let me
continue.
play this. Yeah, okay. So shall I continue this? All right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Persuade him that he wasn't possessed. He was a prophet, a great prophet. Is this the sort of story that Middle Eastern rulers would invent to make their new religion more appealing somehow? I don't think it is. Two, we know that after Muhammad's experience in the cave, he became suicidal and tried to hurl himself off a cliff. Later, when he stopped receiving revelations, he again became suicidal and tried repeatedly to hurl himself off a cliff. Now, if you were manufacturing a prophet to unite a bunch of Middle Eastern tribes, do you think you'd portray him as someone who runs to a cliff to hurl himself off whenever something doesn't go his way? I certainly wouldn't. 3, according to our earliest Muslim sources, Muhammad delivered revelations from the devil. These are the infamous satanic verses when Muhammad delivered the original version of Surah 53
this.
to his followers. Said that in addition to Allah, there are 3 goddesses that Muslims can pray to.
Okay, I
Allah,
think
Lusa,
shall I stop
and
here
Manat.
and we can refute
Yeah.
this?
Muhammad
I think yeah. So you want to do this or you want me to do it? I think I'll let you do it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'm quite
brother,
tired
you
of-
know brother, brother
Yeah.
Basam Zawdi, right?
Yes, of course, of course.
Called to
Yeah.
monotheism.
Yes.
So
yes,
he
quite-
made
yes,
a
I do.
really amazing response to this. So let me just pull up his article.
Yep. I have an article on my website too about this, but yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, of course. So, let me
Okay,
share.
while you're pulling it up, I want to read some of the comments here, all right?
Sure.
Display this. MNJ, you look young. I thought you were in your 30s at the most. Wow, I'm so flattered. I'm not in my 30s. I'm not in my 30s. I can tell you that. I'm not 30s anymore. That was 10 years ago. Okay, that was 10 years ago. I'm not in my 30s. Okay, another comment from this brother. He wrote in Malay, okay? Daniel tu nak kena ru'yah tu. So he's saying that the prophet Daniel needs to be, warded of evil. Need to do a ruqyah, need to do a Islamic treatment on him. Okay. Yeah. But the thing is, the point is that Daniel had experienced distress because he met the revelation of God. Same thing as how our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam experienced, and this is normal because they are all human beings. Okay, they are not God. Okay, so of course, when you encounter the might of God, the mightiness of God's revelation, obviously you're going to feel something, right? You're going to feel something, fear and do, and because you don't know who or what that is. You see, yeah, that's the whole point. But David, being the hypocrite that he is, he doesn't seem to realize that in the Bible, all the prophets of God experience something like this. Yeah. And it's not just.
Can you share the screen?
Sure. Okay, let me share the screen now. Yep.
Okay.
Can you see this?
So
Yeah.
this is the. Let me make the thing a little bigger.
Yep. Yeah. I just made it
Can
bigger.
you see?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I mean this satanic versus thing has been around for so long, and it has been debunked several times.
So basically, here he says, "There is no greater lie than the lie of satanic verses. The Prophet ﷺ never uttered these verses." To sum it up, the story basically states that when the Prophet was leading the prayer one time near the Kaaba, he was reciting Surah 53, 19 to 20, and then immediately after he recited those verses, he said, "Those are the high-flying cranes, and indeed their intercession is to be hoped for." So the Quraysh tribe were so thrilled that the Prophet spoke so positively about their gods that they prostrated with the Muslims after he recited those verses. Afterward, Allah sent down a verse rebuking the Prophet and also sent down a verse abrogating the satanic revelation. Let's see if this makes any sense. Surah 53 was revealed 5th year of prophethood. The alleged verse that was revealed rebuking the Prophet was sent down years later. And the verse that supposedly abrogated the satanic revelation was revealed in 1 al-Hijri, which is approximately 8 years after the incident. So are they trying to say that the Muslims believe that the satanic revelations were true revelation for approximately 8 years? That would mean that the Quraysh would have believed that the Muslims were pagan worshippers. So if the Quraysh did believe this, then why did they keep persecuting the Muslims for their belief, which is the reason why the Hijrah took place anyway? So you see, this story is kind of nonsensical. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So the verse that they quote, or the story quotes, was revealed in like the 5th year, and the supposed verse which rebukes him was revealed like years later. And you know, and then the later verses has no connection to this. So, bro, are you there? Bro, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm still here. Yes.
Okay. So as you can see, there's no connection here. Because the thing is, if this was the case, why would the Quraysh be persecuting them anyway? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, and the point is that even if we were to somehow accept this story, which we don't, even then, if he goes on to quote multiple scholars who have all said this is based on a weak hadith, a baseless hadith, and it's contradictory narrations. It has weak narrations. None of the chains go back to the Prophet and whatnot. And on top of that, even if we were to somehow accept this, so what? The Prophet made a mistake. It happens. As a matter of fact, in the Bible, if you look at the Bible, there are stories where Jesus had conversation with the devil.
Exactly. I was going to mention that in the Bible, in
Yeah,
the
you
New
should, you
Testament,
should bring it up.
I should bring it
Yeah,
up, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I need to search for it. I don't recall that story in Matthew. I think it's in Matthew. Devil, Jesus. Wait, let me see. Let me. Yeah, this is the one. Yep, I found it. Okay, I found the. Okay, let me share the screen.
yeah.
Yeah, don't mind my video. Sorry, because I don't know. It's cutting in and out.
That's
I
fine.
can't
That's
do
fine.
anything about it. This is totally a technical issue. I
Yeah,
can't do anything. It could be the network or something. I don't know.
yeah,
Okay, can you see the verse? Yeah, so this is actually the satanic verses of the Bible.
yeah.
Okay, there's Satan's words in there, in fact. Okay, so then
Yeah.
Jesus was led by the Spirit in the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and night, he was hungry. So their God was hungry. Okay,
Yeah,
the tempter came to him and said, if you are the son of God, tell these stones to become bread." Jesus answered, "It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him into the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. "If you are the Son of God," he said, "throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Jesus answered, "It is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Okay. Again, the devil took him to the very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. Again, God,
yeah,
the devil here speaking, "All this I will give you," he said, "if you will bow down and worship me." Jesus
yeah,
said to him, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Then the devil left him, and the angels came and attended him. So yeah, there we have it, the satanic verses of the Bible. Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah, that's the thing I don't get. Like
yeah,
here, Jesus is having a holiday with the devil, and he's like going on trips,
yeah.
and like
I mean,
they're they're
I mean,
angry at
I
the
mean,
prophet.
think about it. I mean, God, the God incarnate coming down as a man, being carried off by the devil to many places. So the
Yeah,
devil had the power to overcome God and carry him anywhere he wants. You see,
yeah,
the because you keep in mind, where if you wear the Christian hat, you will know that they believe that Jesus is God incarnate, right? So
yeah,
so yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
So
you want to continue this again, the
yeah,
video?
yeah. Let's continue. Let's continue.
Okay, all right, okay.
Delivered these verses to his followers. He bowed down in honor of them, and his followers bowed down with him. But a little later, the prophet of Islam came back and said that these verses.
Yeah, he's talking about satanic verses. Do you want to skip this in front, or you want still hear it? I think I'll skip this in front. 10 seconds in front.
And he replaced them with the words that we find in the Quran today. Now, if you wanted to
Bro,
invent,
can you like put our screens on the side
you portray him
on
as
the
a man
left?
Okay, sure, I can do that. Yeah, I can. You mean like this? Like this?
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Okay.
who couldn't tell the difference between a revelation from God and a revelation from Satan? Of course not. For we know from multiple references in Sahih al-Bukhari and other sources that Muhammad was the victim of a magic spell that gave him delusional thoughts and false beliefs. According to the story, one of Muhammad's enemies stole his hairbrush and used it to cast a spell on him.
This is a really silly
Spell lasted
polemic,
somewhere
isn't it?
between 6 months and 2 years.
Yeah, we
Tell
just
me,
refuted it, I think.
you were
Yeah.
inventing a
I mean,
prophecy.
just to add on, because you see, these Christians
Yeah,
don't seem to realize we Muslims believe that the prophet or every prophet of God is a man. Okay, it's a
yeah,
man. Okay,
yeah,
so they are not they are humans. So of course they will be affected by. Yeah? I mean, let's not forget the story of Job. Okay, or Ayub
yeah,
in the Quran. The story of Job. He was tempted by the devil. Wasn't he tested by the devil? I mean,
yeah,
he
yeah,
had,
yeah,
he had, the whole story is about him being patient in the face of blight. First, he lost his wealth, then he lost his children, then he lost his wife, and then he
yeah,
was inflicted with illness. Just read the book of Job. Okay, just read the
yeah,
book of Job, and you can this was actually done by Satan. Okay, Satan actually influenced that had
yeah,
direct influence on this, and Job was patient. So so does that mean that Job wasn't a true prophet of God just because he went through all these afflictions and problems in his life. I mean, Christians, please don't be hypocrites. If you want to, if
I
you
mean-
want to, yeah, I mean, if you
I
want
mean,
to
their
say
God
that
died.
exactly, your God died. Your God died on the cross, and let's not forget in Galatians chapter 3 verse 13, Paul says
Yeah.
that anyone who is hung on a tree is cursed. And Jesus took in the curse of the law for us, for the Christians, because it is written, cursed is he who is anyone who is hung on a pole. So Paul is actually saying that Jesus was cursed. If you look in do you want me to bring up the verse? Galatians chapter 3
No,
verse
it's
13.
fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we
I don't
should
think- Yeah.
just
Yeah, I
move
think I
on.
want because we are because this is already like 1 hour and 41 minutes.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Almost
I
2
think
hours.
it's right. So anyway, let's go and continue. Right.
Suit your fancy. Would you say that his enemies could temporarily overpower him with black magic? Not a chance. 5, Surah 4, verse 3 of the Quran says that Muslims can marry up to 4 women. But the Muslim sources tell us that Muhammad had a lot
This is
more
also
than
another
4
stupid
wives.
polemic. Oh, come on.
Tabari
Yeah,
says
yeah.
that Muhammad consummated marriages with 13 women.
Okay, this is a lie. Can I just
Okay.
share something?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Basically, it's like this: the revelation for the marriage of 4 women, or limiting Muslims to 4 women, only came after the Prophet had married more than 4 wives. Yeah, it came after. It didn't come
Yeah, yeah.
before. Yeah, that's the whole point. And the Prophet was not allowed to marry another wife again or divorce his current wives. That is the law for the Prophet. Yeah. So for Muslim men who have married more than 4 wives, at the time before the law was revealed. So when this law revealed, Abu Bakr had more than four wives, if I'm not mistaken. He divorced all his
Yeah, yeah.
wives, and he was only left with 4. But the Prophet was not allowed to divorce his wives,
yeah.
okay, because they are the mother of the believers. Okay, considered to be the mother of the believer because of the stature. So if the Prophet were to divorce his wives, it will bring shame to them. Okay, and the Prophet's wives are not allowed to remarry after after the death of the Prophet. Okay.
Yeah,
So this is
yeah,
a law
exactly.
specific for the Prophet
Yeah,
himself.
yeah, exactly. Can I share? Can you share the screen?
Okay, let me share that just to
Okay, so
briefly,
this is
explain.
an article by Wakar Akbar Kima, who is a
Yes.
Hadith scholar. He
Yep.
basically collected all the marriages that is based on authentic narrations and all the
Yes.
the concubines that he had. And here you can clearly see he only had 11 wives, not 30. So that's a lie.
Yes.
And
exactly.
now he did have these are consummated marriages. Like if you look at the unconsummated marriages, even those are like no more than 11 or something. But those marriages were broke off. Like they didn't go through.
Yep. Yes.
And there are only 2 concubines, not 30.
Yes. Exactly.
So that's a lie.
Yes, of course. These Christians, they always like to manipulate our sources.
Yeah.
Seems okay. I think I need to answer this. There's a comment from Brad again. Wait, I thought African American Elijah Muhammad was a messenger prophet for the last foundation of Islam. We don't believe in Elijah Muhammad. Okay, please, come on. You're talking about nation of Islam, right? It's considered to be out of the fold of Islam. They are not even part of.
Yeah, it's a cult.
Okay? It's a cult. Yeah, it's a cult. We don't even acknowledge Elijah as a
It's a
prophet
heretic
or
sect.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a heretical sect. I mean, it's similar to how Christians will look at Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses. Are you going, or even the Unification Church in Korea? Are you going to say that Joseph Smith was a prophet? You're not going to say that, right? So it's the same thing. We're not going to say that Elijah Muhammad is a prophet. Okay.
Yeah. But
So,
bro, can you like put our screens on the left?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's continue.
Let's continue.
Muhammad had at least 9 wives at one time. So why did Muhammad get more? Well, he received another revelation, Surah 33:50, which gave him and him only special moral privileges, namely lots of extra wives. Needless to say, if I were inventing a prophet, I wouldn't invent stories that show him violating his own revelations. 6, Muhammad once had an adopted son named Zayd, who was called Zayd bin Muhammad, Zayd, son of Muhammad. One day, Muhammad
This
saw
Zayd
his
and
wife
Zainab issue
practically
again.
naked and began lusting after her.
Oh my
When
God, such
Zayd
an old
found out
polemic.
that his adopted father And
I'm
the
tired
prophet
of refuting this kind of
was
polemics.
lusting after his wife. He divorced
The-
her so
can you
that
pause,
his
like-
adopted father / prophet could have her.
Can you pause a little bit? Okay, so this he
Basic-
brings
yeah,
like
basically
this
it's
whole
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically this is the Zaid and Zainab issue, which has been played by
yeah.
Orientalists for
I want to
decades, for
comment on
years.
something previous
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
Like for example,
Oh,
he
okay.
mentions like this point about him having wives and whatnot. Like how many concubines did Solomon had? 300.
I think if I'm not mistaken, 300, 300 something, yeah.
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 So like again, like polygamy, concubines, it's all allowed in Christianity, and like
Well, Jesus
and also like also
you see,
yeah
Jesus did not publish any law or did not say any law forbidding concubines, okay, or more than one
Yeah.
manager. You see. Yeah.
yeah. Also another thing is that like so he was saying that the prophet had like special privileges. No, he didn't. Like he had to do a lot. As a matter of fact, things were very hard for him because like there are times when you're back. Yeah. So as you said, like he had the rulings, which is that he cannot divorce his wives, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So
yes.
how's that special privilege?
Yeah. It's not a
Yeah.
self privilege if you're unable to divorce your wife, okay?
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
special privilege at all.
Yeah.
And plus there were many other laws which the prophet had to do, which we Muslims don't need to do. For example, Salatul Duha. Salatul Duha is the prayer between Fajr and Zuhur, right? The prophet had to do that. It's wajib, it's incumbent upon him. For us, it's only sunnah. It's only sunnah.
Yeah.
It's only sunnah, it's not necessary. But the prophet had to do this every day for the rest of his life. So how is that privilege?
Yeah.
How is
Also,
that
like he had to
privilege?
he had to lead armies. Like Muslims don't have to do that.
Yeah,
Like he had to
I mean,
fight in
yeah, there are
battles.
certain things which the prophet had to do specific for the prophet alone, which
Yeah.
we Muslims don't need to do. You see.
Yeah.
So again, what privilege is there? Okay, this is not something strange to Christianity idea. Or Judaism for that matter, because the prophets in the Bible also have this kind of thing. Like for example, Abraham had to sacrifice his son. Do Christians need to sacrifice their son? Okay, you see the thing.
Yeah.
And Moses had to face the Pharaoh and had to face the 7 plagues.
Also,
of
another
Egypt,
thing,
right? Yeah,
the prophet
that too.
couldn't leave behind any properties for like his children.
Exactly.
That's one of the laws.
Yeah.
Like,
there's
we
also
can
nothing-
do that.
A prophet is not allowed to inherit to pass on
From
his
the
wealth
prophet.
for
Yeah.
the prophet to his children. He's not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
We can do that. Yeah, we Muslims, we have no problems. We don't have that kind of law for us. You see?
Yeah. So again, how's that privilege? Again, there are many
Exactly.
laws like this.
Yes, there are many laws like this for only specific for the prophet, which we Muslims enjoy and the prophet did not. You see?
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
you see-
on this
yeah.
Zainab point, can I just bring up another article?
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
So this Zainab point is completely nonsensical. So basically, what happened is that like, so basically, Nation of Islam aren't Muslim. No, they're not. So hold on, let me share the screen. Okay, can you see? Oh, what's this? Okay, so again, this is another article on ikra.org, and you can check it out yourself. So basically, what happened is that basically, can you put us on the side, like not the full screen? Yeah, thank you. So basically, what happened is that his son was gonna get a divorce, but he knew that this was gonna happen, but he hid it because he felt ashamed, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he revealed a verse criticizing him, and later on, after the divorce, he got married to her. That's it. But like what David Wood is referring to is all the weak hadith that apparently says that he was like lusting after her, which is absolutely false. And in this
Absolutely false,
article,
yeah.
he basically quotes all this hadith and shows all the weakness in it, and says that
Yeah.
almost all of them is
Yeah.
weak, either weak or fabricated.
Yeah.
Even
Basically, the
post-
objection to the Prophet's marriage to Zainab was that because Zaid was the adopted son of the Prophet. Therefore, for some, I don't know, this is, I think, a Western mentality, or it could be the mentality of the Arabs at the time. Even the Arabs at the time were opposed to this marriage. So the mentality was that an adopted son has the same privileges as that of a real son, of a biological son. So if you're marrying your adopted son's wife, it's as though you're marrying your biological son's wife.
Yeah. Also,
So
another thing,
yeah,
another point is that why is he appealing to like the morality of the pagan Arabs? Like the pagan Arabs, they bury their daughters.
yes,
Does you think that's a good thing?
exactly. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, like, and yeah, if you read the article, he goes through like all the narrators and shows that all of them are weak. So yeah, and I made a video on it, and you can also check that out as well.
Yep,
I basically refuted Apos. Hold on, let me just share the link.
Of course.
Here is this one.
Hey, Apostle Prophet,
I haven't made like a.
why do you look so sad? Muslims are always being very mean.
Did you see this?
Yeah, I can
made
see
like
it. I
a
can see it.
skit.
Oh, you
So
made a
yeah, you can
skit.
check it out.
Okay,
I have
sure.
all the resources here down
course,
in the
course.
pin comment.
course.
So yeah,
So,
it's
so did
nonsense.
so did Apos also made a comment on this marriage?
Yeah. He basically re-agitate the same arguments made by
Oh
David
my
Wood.
God. Yeah, it's not new.
All the
I mean,
muttas do.
they,
That's like
they just
carry
repeat
it.
these mutas. That's why I don't deal with the mutas, because for me they are irrelevant, because they only borrow arguments from the Christians, and they regurgitate it as their own. And actually all their polemics against Islam are actually from the Christians. Okay, the attacks on Islam are all the same arguments from the Christians. They don't come up with anything new. Okay.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At
That's
least
right.
what I can say is that from a liberal perspective, or if they adopt like liberalism, at least that makes sense. But for Christians, making this type of arguments doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. So because you say the Christians they don't even follow their own Bible. You see, that's the problem. Yeah. So that's actually the main contention. So you want me to continue playing? So shall we continue with this video?
Yeah, continue. Let's go.
Okay, right.
Then Muhammad married the divorced wife of his own adopted son after causing the
No,
divorce.
we
by
just dealt
lusting
with
after
this.
her.
So okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Allah
I
himself.
mean, Lot had
a difficult
sex with his
time
own daughters.
justifying this
Yeah.
marriage, so we can only
Yeah,
wonder why
exactly.
someone would invent the story. 7. According to Muslim sources, Muhammad had a pretty disturbing problem. He was frequently covered in semen.
Oh, this
His child
nasty,
bride
this
Aisha reports
nasty.
in numerous hadiths
this
that she would try to
nasty
scrape it off or wash
guy.
it off before he headed to the mosque. But even after she thought she had gotten it all off, she would suddenly see more.
I'm sorry, but don't your wife do your laundry for you. I mean, this is basically what the hadith is about. Your wife doesn't do the laundry for you, and he doesn't scrub off your semen on it. I mean, you don't have sex with your wife. Let's not forget you have 3 children, 2 of them being mentally impaired. I don't want to use the term, but mentally incapacitated. Okay. So let's not forget, you have to spot your semen somewhere, right? let's be honest here, right? So I'm pretty sure the laundry has to be done. So what's wrong with that? And this is basically, that's the hadith is about. That's what the hadith is about. It's about cleanliness.
It basically talks about like wet dreams, like, which is very normal. Like if you go to a doctor,
a husband and a
very-
wife sleeping together, obviously the wife needs to do the laundry. I mean, I mean, what's the problem with this? I don't know why David likes to polemicize this hadith. I mean, this is his favorite polemical hadith that he likes to quote, and he likes to polemicize. So what's wrong with the wife cleaning up the laundry of her husband? Please tell us that. Okay, please tell us that. It doesn't necessarily have to be semen. It can be tomato sauce. It can be coffee. Can be anything. So it just happens that in the hadith it's about semen. Okay, so but it's about laundry. Basically, the hadith is about laundry, cleaning up your laundry. I don't know why. What is so is so polemical with it? I mean, let's not forget Aisha is the wife of the Prophet. She's
Yeah.
married to the Prophet. Obviously, she has to do the laundry.
Yeah.
She's not some random girl or woman who appears out of nowhere. I mean,
But can I share
uh,
something?
okay, go ahead, share. Yeah.
Okay, so here we have Lot and his daughter, and this is in where is this? This is in Genesis 19.
Yes. Yeah. The story of Lot and his daughters. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
read
Can you
this. Lot and his
can you
daughters,
yeah?
two
Is your
daughters
screen?
left
Is
Zor
your
and settled in
yeah
the mountains. For
yeah
he was afraid to stay in Zor. He and his two daughters lived in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's go get our father to
basically
drink wine
let's have a
and to sleep
gangbang with
with
our
him
daddy.
and
Let's
preserve
have
our family
incest.
line through our father."
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
night, they got their father to drink wine,
Guys,
and the
actually
older daughter went
it's
in
quite a
and
disgusting
slept with
story, to
him.
be honest.
He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. Next day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him, and so you can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it, and when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughter became pregnant by their father. Just read that statement.
Yeah, it's disgusting. The story, you attribute this to a prophet of God is disgusting. Okay, this
Yeah.
according to David Wood, by the way, this is a story and a story based on embarrassment, so it must be true. Okay.
Yeah.
But of course,
Yeah.
we Muslims, we reject this. We totally reject
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
The the
for David Wood, he has to accept this because this is an embarrassing story, so it must be true. Okay.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
older daughter had a son. She named him Moab. He is the father of Moabites today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of Ammonites today. So yeah,
The product of incest. Oh my god! And this is something
yeah,
to be proud of.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
You see that the thing is
By the
with
way,
David is not.
can
Yeah.
I
Go
ask
ahead.
you like what you're saying about like David Wood's kids? Like, your
Uh,
mic kind of cut off there.
oh no. I'm saying that his children has two of them have issues, mentally impaired. Right. I would say. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that much because I don't want to attack his children. Even though
yeah,
his dad is an asshole, but I wouldn't want to attack his children. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's leave it at that. Okay. Anyway, shall we
okay.
continue with the video? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, let's go ahead. Yeah.
For the life of me, I can't imagine anyone inventing a religion and then making up stories about the new prophet being covered in semen. 8, according to Muslim sources, Muhammad
were you
would suck
saying
on the
like
tongues and lips of little boys and
like because like their special needs, like they need to be taken care of and cleaned and whatnot?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have a
yeah, yeah.
they
I
have a
agree.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, cleaning is not something that should be controversial. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know why he thinks it's a problem. Okay. Anyway, let's play the video. Yeah.
yeah,
have the little boy suck on his tongue. He also guaranteed that if he sucked on a little boy's tongue or lips, that little
Oh,
boy's
not
tongue or
again,
lips would
not
never be
this.
tormented by hellfire.
Yeah.
Now, if you were inventing a prophet,
Yeah. By the way, that little boy was Hassan. Okay, his grandson. Okay, his grandson. So what's wrong with a father kissing his grandson? I mean, what's the problem with it? I don't understand what is David's point actually. Why he keeps repeating such stories and polemicize them as though as the prophet is randomly kissing little boys or asking women to clean up his laundry, etc. But when actually these are all his relatives and his family, because the story of Aisha, doing his laundry and uh, the prophet, the little boy that this asshole is mentioning just now is actually Hassan, okay, the grandson of the prophet. So what's wrong with a grandfather kissing his grandson? Can you tell me that?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's
Hold on,
no
can I
issue
share the
here.
screen?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Can I? Yeah. Okay, so in like Islamic Stock Exchange, someone actually mentioned this, and they said that both of these reports are not authentic. For example, Abdul Rahman bin Auf is
Yes.
unknown
Okay.
and was known to be a narrator of hadith. The second sanad
Yeah.
is, and in it has Hisham bin Saad. Is weak, as
Okay.
was said by
Weak
Yahya
narrator.
ibn Ma'in, and weakened
Mm.
by Al Nasai. So yeah, it's a weak hadith.
It's a weak hadith. So basically, he's just relying on a weak hadith. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what he's doing. Yeah. So we can
unreliable
reject this story.
stories.
Yeah, we can reject this story as unreliable, and it's not an argument from embarrassment. It's just an argument. It's just basically the isnad is weak and the narrators are unreliable. Okay,
Yeah,
something which the Bible doesn't have. The Bible does not have these signs. Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So you want to continue the video?
yeah, yeah. Let's continue.
Okay. All right.
To be the center of your new religion. How many stories about your prophet sucking on little boys' tongues and lips to protect them from hellfire would you include?
Complete
Answer is zero,
fabricating
and yet
stories.
Islam has a
No,
bunch.
that's all he does. Like he finds all the weak stories that he can
Yeah.
use,
Yeah,
but
basically,
ignores
yeah.
like authentic stories that
Exactly.
make Prophet show in a good light.
Exactly. He's just picking and choosing whatever he feels that.
Cherry picking fallacy.
So, yeah. Basically, he just picks and chooses whatever he feels that we will strengthen his hand and we weaken Islam. But the thing is, sometimes he just manipulates the hadith. Like for example, the one on the laundry, where Aisha cleaned the semen, etc. That is
Yeah.
just Aisha doing the laundry. So what's the problem with that? He's just and then he's highlighting, oh, the semen, oh, it's Aish, it's a little girl. I mean,
That's not
I
even
mean,
the thing. Like
it's not even an argument. That's just being petty and being an asshole. Okay, and for a lack of a better word, I have to use the word asshole. Okay, yeah. So it's just ridiculous. I mean, you want to cherry pick something like this?
yeah.
Okay. So this is consistent throughout his methodology. You look at his videos on his
Yeah, and
channel.
when dreaming is normal, like it
Yeah,
happens, like it's
yeah,
not something controversial.
yeah. Exactly.
By the way, another thing I wanted to share actually, which is
Yes.
that
Go ahead.
regarding the hadith
Yeah.
about sucking tongue or whatnot. So there is a one narration which basically says that the basically Hassan and Hussein or one of them was crying because they didn't have water. So he was very thirsty. The baby was thirsty. So back then, Arabs had a tradition which that if they didn't have water, they used to give water to the baby by using their tongues, right? And that's basically what the Prophet did. And so let me share the screen. And so basically,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
in one article,
Okay.
someone mentioned this. Share the screen. Yeah, here.
Yeah. Here you go.
Okay, so yeah, and in this narration it says that so Buddha reported that Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, heard Hassan and Hussein crying while they were with their mother. So he hurried to them and he said, "What is the matter with my boys?" They said, "It is thirst." Prophet went out to the source of water, but at that time, water was scarce. The Prophet called out, "Does anyone have any water?" But no one had any water. So the Prophet said to their mother, "Bring me one of them." Abu Hurairah said, he massaged his tongue and moistened it until he calmed down. I can read about this Al-Mujam Kabir. It is gathered as Hassan, and this is a different narration. So, yeah, so that's basically what happened. Like, and even if we were to like accept this story, and now if this was anyone other than the Prophet, they'll be saying, "Oh, how kind this person is, how generous this person is." Because it's a prophet, they're gonna say, look at this evil person. He was trying to suck on little boy's tongue and whatnot. Like absolutely disgusting. These people are.
Yeah. I mean, this is just this is just plain petty and careless. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
Like imagine
very
what
low
the
down,
prophet did,
very,
right?
Yeah.
He did a
Very-
good thing. Like he was trying to calm down the baby, and
Yeah.
they're trying to make it seem like some kind of evil thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just basically pure ignorance and sheer hatred of the Prophet. Yeah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. I want to share something. Okay. This is basically in Acts. If I'm not mistaken. Wait, let me see. Paul. Something to do with Paul. Okay. Paul. And sorry, sorry, give me a moment. Let me see. Okay, X16. Okay, hang on. Give me a moment. I'm pulling out the verse 16. Okay, so yep, this is the one.
By the way,
Okay,
bro, can we do this in like 2 parts? I feel like we
two
won't be able to
parts.
get through the whole thing.
Okay, sure. Let's do it in 2 parts then. Okay, so we just
Okay,
deal
let's
with
deal with David Wood in this episode, and inshallah
yes,
next
right.
time we'll deal
Of
with
course,
Jay Smith
of
tomorrow.
course. Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, no problem. I was
Okay.
thinking the same anyway. So okay. So in X16, okay, I'm going to pull up this. Right. So can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's this person called Timothy. Okay. Paul came to Derbe and then to Lystra, where a disciple named Timothy lived, whose mother was Jewish and believer, and whose father was a Greek. The believers at Lystra and Iconium spoke well of him. Paul wanted to take him along on his journey. So he circumcised him because of the Jews who lived in that area, for they all knew that his father was a Greek. Okay. So now this is the part where we can be petty like David Wood. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so a person who who basically who does the practice of a Jewish person is called a mohel. Okay, it's called a mohel, and this is the definition. Okay, a person who performs the Jewish rites. Okay, and in order to perform the mohel, to perform the circumcision in the Jewish method, okay, basically you need to put the guy's ahem in your mouth and suck the blood after you have cut off the foreskin.
Mm.
This is the method. Yes, this is the method. Okay, this is the method. Okay. Yes, they have to put there. Okay, I can show it to you here. Yeah. Okay. There. This the there. You see this? Under Jewish law, a moher must draw blood from the circumcision wound. Okay. Most mohel do it by hand with a suction device, but some follow the traditional practice of. So basically, Paul in Acts 16, he was a moher, right, for Timothy, right? He was a moher for Timothy, right? So okay, let me stop sharing this. So let's not forget in Acts 16, Paul did a circumcision, okay, on Timothy. Okay, Paul did circumcision on Timothy. So he was acting as a mohel for Timothy. So what do you think Paul did to Timothy's thingy after cutting off his foreskin? He must have put it inside his mouth. He must have sucked the thingy dry, the blood, and put it in his mouth. So I think that means Paul was a false prophet, because Paul was a false apostle, because Paul
Yeah.
put the thingy into his mouth and sucked all the blood out, like what a mohel is supposed to do. Okay, you
Yeah.
see, I can be petty like David Wood as well. I mean, if we were dirty, we were a dirty-minded person,
Yeah.
thinking like David Wood, then I would say that Paul was a false apostle also, because he put something in his mouth. Okay.
But which verse is this? Can I see?
This is in Acts verse chapter 16. Okay. Acts chapter 16, verse number 3.
Chapter 16.
Yeah, you can check it out. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. Okay. So this guy the disciple named Timothy wanted to join Paul and Silas on his trip. So because Timothy was not circumcised, so Paul performed the circumcision. Okay. So in order to put, but like I showed earlier in the Wikipedia article, a mohel, or someone who is a circumciser, in order to clear the blood after the circumcision, the traditional way of doing it is to put it inside their mouth. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to be dirty-minded like David Wood, what do you think that would suggest? Okay, about Paul of Tarsus. We're not talking about any other Paul, but Paul of Tarsus. Okay. Okay. So we can be petty like David Wood also, right? But I wouldn't use this as an argument against. To be honest, I wouldn't use this as an argument against Paul. But just think about it, right? Yeah, just think about it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go back to the video. Okay. Yeah, it's a very long video. I think we can only cover David's points today. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Muhammad made prophecies that were already falsified by the time he was supposedly being invented by conspirators. In Sahih al-Bukhari, Muhammad prophesied that one of the signs of the end times would be that the buttocks of the women who worship the idol Dul Khalasa would shake while walking around the shrine. But the idol and the shrine were soon destroyed by Muslims, so the prophecy can no longer be fulfilled.
You see, this David, he's putting this hadith has not been fulfilled yet, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's this. I want. Can I share screen?
Go ahead and share the screen. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this hadith has not been fulfilled. It's not that it's a false prophecy. It's an unfulfilled prophecy. Yeah, it's just waiting to happen. Yeah, this is meant to happen during the end times. Yeah.
Okay. Can I share the screen?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, let me yeah. Can you see the screen now?
Okay, so this is in our Islam. So Brother Halabi, do you know Brother Halabi?
No, I don't know him.
He has a YouTube channel. He's very prominent on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
So he actually wrote this, and I think, yeah. So he said, Bismillah, in Sahih Bukhari, Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ says a specific idol called Diyal Khalasa will be worshipped again in the near the end times. Diyal Khalasa, mainly worshipped by the tribe of Daus and the tribe of surrounding it. It was called the Yemeni Kaaba. So you can actually see the picture. Can you see it? Can you see the picture?
It's not appearing yet.
Hold on.
Okay.
All right, can you see it? So yeah, basically this is the hadith that he's talking about. Now let's go back. And around the 1800, many Muslims turned to bid'ah or innovation, superstition, and veneration of stones and trees. And those, along with surrounding tribes, began dedicating offering to the Al-Khalasa and sacrificing to it. You can read about this in Akbar al-Makkah. You can actually see the picture of the book. Let me just share.
Maybe you need to share the picture in a separate screen. I don't think you can do it in the same screen. Yeah.
Hold on. I'll share. All right, can you see?
It's loading.
The internet is a little slow.
Yeah, it's a bit slow, right? Yeah. Okay, it's loading. Give it some time, I guess.
Yeah. So it's an Arabic book. It basically talks about this historical event. So yeah, can you see it?
Yep, it's displaying now.
Yeah. It's the book. This is the book where it is mentioned, this event. So when King Abdul Aziz took control of the Hijaz area, he sent military campaigns to subdue tribes and bring them under his control. A campaign was sent to the mountain of Daus in 1925. The soldiers found the pillars of Diyal Khalasa still standing, as well as a tree they venerated called Al-Abla. They burned the tree and destroyed the building of Diyal Khalasa and threw the remains in a valley. So basically, the pillars of Diyal Khalasa was still standing.
Okay.
So basically, and if you want, you can actually see like the pictures of it. Hold on.
Cool.
This is where it's mentioned in the book.
Okay.
And there's actually a YouTube video where they basically he basically shows the picture of like the destroyed. Hold on, look at this.
حديثنا اليوم عن الخلاص.
Can you see?
Yep.
So basically, this guy goes to the site where the Khalasa was destroyed, and this happened in like 1985 or something. So 1895. Hold on, let me find the video. Okay, here.
Okay.
هذه الكعبة اليمنية ذو الخلص. عرق الطاغوت هذا. اي والله
So basically, this is where they were like worshipping, like, the Khalasa.
Okay.
في صور كلاب وخيل. خلنا نشوفها ان شاء الله نحصلها. بس واضح انه مهدود صح؟ فوق في اثار. هذا اثار صنم ذو الخلص. هذه البنايات. البناء هذا.
So this is the site.
Yep.
This is the site basically.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a prophecy that came true.
yeah.
I mean, this already happened.
Yeah.
So, and even if, let's say for the sake of argument, that this is not fully accurate, then so what? Like, it's gonna happen in the future.
Yeah, it's going to happen in the future. I mean, I'm of the position that this is something in the future that we don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? Like for example, the hadith where I think this hadith where one day the Muslims will be at war with the Jews, and the Jews will hide behind all the trees, and all the trees will say, "Oh, there's a Jew behind me. Come here and catch this Jew," except for the tree of except for one tree, right? Except for one type of tree, right? So this hasn't happened yet. I mean, you cannot say that this is a false prophecy, that this is something that will never happen. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the significance of this verse is. I mean, do trees talk? I mean, even now trees don't talk, and I doubt trees will ever talk. But the hadith is clearly referring to something, some future event. Okay, so maybe it means that there will be, I don't know, voices, speakers from the trees. We don't know. So for David to say that this hadith is a false prophecy when it hasn't not happened yet, I think this is hypocritical. Okay.
But that's not really the point. What I showed, if true, then it already happened.
If it's true, it's already happened. I mean, and even if the explanation is not satisfactory, it doesn't matter, because this is something that is going to happen in the future. We don't know, to be honest. We don't know.
And
right?
and like I said, and at the time, like when King Abdulaziz, or especially regarding Sheikh Abdul Wahab, at his time there was a lot of shirk and pagan practices that came back in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And so basically they were like kind of like purging them. And this is one of the things that they recorded, which is that they were actually worshipping the Al-Khalasa, and it was the same tribe, by the way.
Yes.
So yeah, one can argue that this already happened, and even if it didn't, it's gonna happen in the future. So
so no big deal. I mean, it's totally moot, and I don't think this is relevant, right? Okay. In fact, I can't find the verse now. There's this prophecy from Paul of Tarsus. He said the hour will not pass until this generation. The hour will not pass. He's saying that the end of times will not happen until this generation will witness it. Okay, something like that, something along the line. I don't remember. I don't recall the verse, unfortunately. If I find it, then maybe I will discuss it in our second part, inshallah. But basically, this verse is also it did not happen, because all the generation passed, and the hour still has not come. Okay, because Paul is saying that the hour will not come until this generation has witnessed it. But the thing is, Paul's generation has already gone passed and gone, and the hour has still not happened. So this isn't this a false prophecy if we use Paul if we use David's standard? Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
quite hypocritical for David to say, oh, this Guz Galasa verse is hadith is false when his own Bible has a false prophecy from Paul and it has not
Yeah.
come to pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, want to continue this? The video, I mean.
Yeah, let's continue.
All right. Yeah, let's wrap it up. Huh?
Muhammad once pointed to a boy and said that before the boy became an old
Oh
man,
my
the
God.
judgment would come.
Oh dear.
That boy has been dead a long time, so the prophecy failed. Now, if Muhammad...
You want to deal with this? You want to deal with this boy thing? I'm not really familiar
Yeah,
with this.
hold on. Let me just-
Okay. I'm not familiar with this argument, but this is also a stupid argument if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah, I see like ex-Muslims and like Christians use this. This is
Oh,
a very
really?
stupid argument.
Oh,
Let me
really?
just
Mm.
pull up the reason
I'm not
why.
familiar with this argument, to be honest, but I think it's the whole idea of this is also stupid in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the hadith they're talking about, right? Now there are different narrations, and one of the narrations says that so people asked the Prophet about the last hour, and he said that the last hour will not come until this boy, he points to a boy, grows old or something like that. Now there are
Okay.
different narrations to this. Now this is in Sahih Muslim, so this is probably the most authentic, and this is what it says:
Okay.
Book of Revelations, the approach of the last hour. Actually reported that that the desert Arabs came to the Allah's Messenger ﷺ, and they asked about the last hour as to when that would come. And he looks towards the youngest amongst them, and he said, if he lived, he would not grow very old, that he would find your last hour coming to you. Meaning he would see you dying. That's what he's talking about. He's not saying the last hour, he's talking about your last hour. Meaning people kept hassling him about when the last hour will be. But no one knows when the
Okay.
last hour will be. Even
Yes,
he himself clarified this, but people still asked him this question. So he was annoyed with them and said that you need to worry about your last hour instead of worrying about the last hour.
About the last hour. Yeah. So basically, the
Yeah.
Prophet is talking about something totally different. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
talking about the last hour, right?
Yeah. By the way, another thing I wanted to show, someone like this apos. So basically, he said that apparently the Arabic doesn't say your last hour. But as you can see, can you see it? On
Yeah, I
Arabic,
can see it. Yeah,
yeah,
I can
it
see it. I can
says
see it.
your last hour, your hour. So yeah,
Your
that's also
hour.
a lie.
Yeah. Epos doesn't know Arabic, so of course he will lie. Yeah, he pretends to know Islam, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
So okay, continue playing
Yeah,
the
let's
video,
go.
I guess. Yes.
being invented long after
I
his
can see the
supposed
video.
death.
Yeah.
Why would the conspirators invent prophecies which had already been falsified and which therefore exposed their new prophet as a false prophet? 10, according to the Quran, Allah rescued Jesus from those who wanted to kill him. So obviously, if we're inventing a prophet for Islam, we're going to invent a similarly miraculous story for our new prophet, right? But how did Muhammad die in the Muslim sources? He was poisoned by a Jewish woman whose family
Oh,
was
not this
slaughtered by
again.
Muslims.
Oh
The
my
poison
god.
ate
Bro, you
away
should deal with
Muhammad's
this.
internal
You
organs,
probably-
but it took him
Oh
another
my
3 years to
god.
finally die.
Actually, I'm actually planning a series of videos where I compile all the allegations made by the Christians against the Prophet. Like, for example, Muhammad was a warlord, Muhammad was a womanizer, Muhammad was this, Muhammad was that. One of them is this: Muhammad died by poisoning. So I have this series of titles compiled, and I've already asked my graphic designer to do the thumbnails for these videos. So inshallah, in the coming months, there will be a series for me where I deal specifically with these issues. So my channel will be totally well, previously, if you look at my channel, I've always been talking about Christianity and Christian theology, right? So for this year, 2020, at least for the first few months of 2020, I'll be talking specifically about Islam and Islamic basically Muslim apologetics specifically, and the hadiths, our own sources. I won't even touch much on the Bible. So not like last year in 2021 where I always talk about the Bible, right? So I have this series, inshallah. So I don't know whether I want to deal with it. Maybe I should save it. Maybe we shouldn't talk about it now. Can save it for later. Yeah, it's not important anyway. I mean, this is a silly polemic. So
can I just touch upon it? So what did he say basically? Can you
basically,
play
he's
it?
saying that the Prophet died by poisoning. A Jewish woman came and killed by poisoning. Yeah, so this It's BS,
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
But let's not forget.
Jesus died on a cross.
Yeah, excuse me, your God died as a criminal on a cross by Roman soldiers. I mean, which is worse, dying by poisoning? And let's assume that he's right. Even if
Also,
he's
what
right,
does this prove exactly? People
yeah,
die.
yeah,
No one is
exactly.
saying
What does
he's
it?
immortal.
Yeah, let's assume. Okay, let's assume that he's right. Of course, he's wrong, but let's assume that he's right, and the prophet did really die by poisoning. Then what does that make your man God? I mean, your man God died on the cross naked and killed by Roman soldiers. So doesn't that make that your man God an even bigger false prophet or false
Yeah.
God? I mean, your God dying on the cross, bloodied and humiliated. For me, that is not God. Okay, it doesn't matter whether he got resurrected later, but the fact is he got humiliated on the cross by Roman pagans. The people who killed him were not even Jews. It was Roman pagan soldiers.
Yeah.
You see the irony in this? Yeah, I mean, they always blame the Jews for killing Jesus when actually it was pagan soldiers who killed him. Okay, so it's it's quite hypocrite again. He's being a hypocrite again. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, want to continue again this video?
Yeah, let's continue.
Yeah, right.
In total agony. If Middle Eastern rulers were fabricating their new prophet, why would they make up a story about their prophet being outwitted by a Jewish woman and then dying like a sick dog? Why do we have an endless array of stories in Islam's most trusted sources that make Muhammad sound stupid and insane and evil and possessed? If you were inventing a religion, would you
I just want to read this comment from this brother. Jesus was died on the cross due to the curse of God. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 22 to 23. Galatians chapter 3, verse 13. Yes. Yeah.
It's true.
Central figure of your new religion sounds stupid and insane and evil and possessed. There's only one way these stories could have gained momentum in the early Muslim community. They were true. If they were true, then Muhammad existed. Second, if conspirators were
stop here.
fabricating a new prophet for the new religion long after Muhammad supposedly died, they could have invented any number of stories about his rise to power and conquest of Arabia. They could have said that Muhammad appeared in Mecca.
No, we are not like the Christians. You like to invent things. We are not Christians. Yeah, we wouldn't invent a story about our prophet.
Can I share something?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, because David is saying that Muslims will invent stories about the prophet. No, we don't. We won't, and we never will.
David Wood here is committing the logical fallacy known as the fallacy of inconsistency. So in terms of fallacious arguments, two or more propositions are asserted that cannot both possibly be true. In a more general sense, holding two or more view believe that cannot all be true together. Quotes from Yogi Berra, even if apocryphal, are a great example of fallacy, especially inconsistency. So basically, he's committing the fallacy of inconsistency. How? I mean, he's saying the hadiths are reliable, right?
Yes.
Okay, then let's go to hadith. Let's see what it says.
Yeah.
That the Meccan people, again, this is in Bukhari, the Meccan people requested Allah's Messenger to show them a miracle, and he showed them the splitting of the moon. So David, will you accept this?
He wouldn't. He will never will. He never will. That's the thing. Because it goes against his own beliefs. If he accepted this, then he will have to be a Muslim.
Yeah.
You see?
Exactly.
That's the thing. Yeah, he will have to accept the prophethood of the Prophet of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But of course he doesn't, because he doesn't believe, he doesn't want to believe in the Prophet. He thinks that the Prophet is going against his own biases, you see. So he has his own biases. So it doesn't matter whether the Prophet is speaking the truth or not. It just goes against his sensibilities, so he doesn't want to believe. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether to him, it doesn't matter whether the Prophet was telling the truth or not. It's just that it goes against his own moral, his own ethos, his own shong. So he's against it regardless. Die must go against it. I mean, this is in a local, my local English speak. You say die, you won't believe. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. So I want to play this video.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Signs and wonders and angels and convinced the population that he's a prophet, and then went from town to town and everyone converting. They could have said whatever they wanted. But when we piece together the earliest and most reliable information about Muhammad, we find a man who couldn't perform miracles, a man who was ridiculed for plagiarizing his revelations, a man who was viewed by the vast majority of people as a moron
pause?
or a madman.
Can you pause?
How would a man like that rise?
Okay, so can I share something? Oh, do you want to read the comment? Where are you there? Where are you there?
Yeah. Sorry. I muted myself and I didn't realize I was speaking to
Okay,
myself.
okay.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
reading
Do you want to read the comment?
Yeah, sure. This brother said, David said Muhammad was possessed by Satan. He didn't know his man God was tempted by Satan. Luke chapter 4, verse 2.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we
we
read this
talked
verse.
about
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
we read this verse just now. I mean, it
Yeah.
was from
By the way,
Matthew.
can I share something?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so he basically talked about, the prophet didn't have any miracles. If they wanted to invent things, they could have said, angels were helping them. Angels were helping them.
Yes.
So
that's the thing.
in the
Yes,
Battle
go
of
ahead.
Badr,
Yeah.
in the Battle of Badr, there's a hadith that's quoted by Ibn Kathir, and can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, it says, Al-Rabi bin Anas said, in the aftermath of Badr, the people used to recognize whomever the angel killed from those whom they killed by the wounds over their necks, fingers, and toes, because those parts had a mark as if they were branded by fire. So, basically, at the time after the Battle of Badr, they used to recognize dead bodies and which one were killed by people and which one were actually killed by angels, because they could see the marks and it looked like burn marks, right? So,
Yeah.
and there are many narrations that proves that the angels were with them. Like, for example, even from non-Muslims, like pagans, they saw that like the army was much bigger than it's supposed to be. And there were other incidents, and Ibn Kathir talks about this in Al-Bida wal Nihaya, which is that people saw like literally, and this is narrative from authentic hadith, by the way. People literally saw like, for example, one man saw like a horse coming up behind them, and he sounded the whip and saw the man's like head completely explode. Obviously, these are not natural things that are happening. So basically,
Exactly,
angels
exactly.
help them. So yeah,
Exactly. Yes. I want to share something here. Can you hear me? Hello.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to share something here. This is from, of course, this way after the passing of the prophet. Just as a caveat.
Yeah, sure.
So okay, this was when the Rashidun Caliphate was against basically the during the time of Umar against the Persians, okay, against the Rashidun Caliphate army, okay, against the Persian army, okay, Sassanids, right? So you look at this table, okay, under Khalid ibn Walid, okay, the strength of the army was 15,000. And the strength of the Sassanid Empire was 25,000 to 30,000, 10 times more. And the victory was to the Rashidun Caliphate. I mean, does it make any sense for an army of 15,000 to
Yeah.
easily defeat an army of up to 30,000?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, this is
Yeah.
if you look at the battles of the early conquest, the early Muslim conquest, okay,
Yeah.
when the Arabs poured out the Muslim caliphate, the first caliphate poured out from Arabia to conquer Syria and Persia, everywhere else.
Yeah.
Most of the
And one
battles
of
ended,
the strange things, which
most
even
of
the
the battles end up
historians,
this way. Yeah, most of the
Yeah.
battles end up this way. Yeah, and it's a very strange thing. Yeah.
even like Western historians, like they admit that the way that the speed at which like the conquest happened was very
Yes.
very
It was
strange.
very swift.
Like
Yeah,
nothing like that
very
ever
swift.
happened in history.
Yeah. Nothing like what happened during the early Muslim conquest of the most of Asia and Persia ever happened in history and has ever happened again. Okay. Even Germany in World War II did not conquer other nations that easily. Okay.
Yeah.
And they were defeated. In the end, the German army was defeated, but the Muslim Empire continued for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It continued for thousands of years after the first conquest. and he has never been defeated until, of course, the fall of the Ottomans. And that is, of course, a different story for another day, right?
Yeah.
So, to me, this is actually evidence that Islam is true, because if Islam were a false religion, why
Yeah.
would God give victory to a false religion?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you see, the Christians need to think about this. Why you say that Islam is a false religion? You say that Islam doesn't have the truth. Then why is it during the early Muslim conquest, Muslims easily overpowered other nations which were 10 times, 20 times much more stronger than them? Okay, they defeated the Byzantines, they defeated the Sassanids, the Persians. Okay, let's not forget during even the Ottoman, even the Crusades. Okay, even the first Crusades, when you first took over Jerusalem, and then in the third Crusade you lost again to the Muslims. You lost to Salah ad-Din. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
have never reconquered Jerusalem since. The Christians have never reconquered Jerusalem since. So why would why would the Christian God, okay, if the Christians believe that they worship a different God than the Muslims, then we should ask them, why did the Christian God allow for Muslim victories over and over
Yeah.
and over and over again?
Yeah.
With
Actually,
yeah,
Ibn al-Qayyum, he
yes,
actually made this same argument with a debate
yes,
with the rabbi,
yeah, yes,
and he
yes,
basically said, "How do you explain this?"
yes,
You know.
yeah. They have no answer. I can tell you, they have no answer to this. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's very simple. It's because Islam is divinely ordained. God will
Yeah.
give victory. God will give victory to those who are on God's path. And the
Yeah.
reason, of course, the Christians will say, "Oh, you Muslims right now, you
By the way,
Muslim
can I
nations."
respond to this comment by Brian Bradley?
Okay, sure. Yeah, you can comment, but then I'll continue.
Okay, so Brian Bradley says war isn't decided by God. Okay, so first of all, that's a straw man. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm
Yeah.
saying here is that how do you explain a Bedouin tribe with no training in military? Okay, because everyone can say that if there's a war between U.S. and Iraq, that U.S. is going to win.
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
They're the
It's obvious.
superpower.
Yeah, it's a superpower, of
But
course.
that's not the case with the Arabs. The
Yeah,
Arabs were like
we are
nomadic
talking about
tribes.
we are talking about the early Islam. Okay, after the Prophet's passing. Okay, when the Rashidun Caliphate,
Yeah,
the Khulafa al-Rashidun came out from Arabia and
yeah.
conquered most of the
Yeah.
Arab Peninsula and
But no one is saying
Persia.
that if there's a battle, we can tell who's gonna win
Yeah,
or
exactly,
the stronger side
exactly,
won't win. That's not what I'm saying.
exactly, exactly,
I'm saying that
exactly.
for the Muslims at the time that they were in,
Yeah,
it is completely very highly unlikely that they will win the way they want.
yes, exactly, exactly. And the
Mm.
fact that 10,000 people, an army 10,000
Yeah.
can overpower an army of 20, 30,000, 50,000 even sometimes. How
Yeah.
how do you explain this? How is it possible? I mean, if you're saying US versus Iraq, obviously US is going to win and Iraq is going to lose. I mean, so obvious,
Yeah.
right? It's so obvious. There's no need for a debate. We know this. But for a Bedouin tribe of about 10,000 to 30,000, 20,000 people at the most, 15,000 at the most, can easily overpower an empire like the Persian Empire and even the Byzantines. How do you explain this? How do you explain
Mm.
this? Right? So, no answer from you until today. Unsurprisingly, right?
That's why would their God allow this anyway?
Yeah. Why would there? If the Christians say
Why would your
that
God allow this, Brian?
yeah. I mean, if the Christians say that that God is with them, then how would God allow a Bedouin tribe to defeat you?
Yeah, and what would the point of that anyway?
Yeah, exactly. What would be the point of it? What is the lesson to be learned from this? Because obviously you haven't learned your lesson. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we should
Anyway,
continue.
what I was saying just now, just to continue, okay, because I was going to say something about the Muslim nations, the state of the Muslim nations today. The reason why we are now in this state right now, I admit that we Muslims, the Muslim nations right now are in a very weak state. The reason is simple: it's because of colonialism, it's because of the leaders who are corrupt, is because of many other factors which have, and basically the governments in the Muslim world are not following God's path. So when the governments in the Muslim world are not following God's way, God's path, of course God will take away the victory from us. It's that simple. So the reason why Muslims are losing now is because we don't follow God. At least the governments don't follow God.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. because the early Muslims followed God to the letter. That is why they achieved victory. The Muslims today, we are losing because we don't follow God. It's that simple.
Yeah.
The governments. I'm talking about the governments. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. So that is the answer. It's that simple. So please don't compare the Muslims, the early Muslims after the time of the Prophet, basically the Sahaba and the Tabi'un, to the Muslims today, because we Muslims today are nothing like those in the early days of Islam. Okay, nothing at all, not even close. I don't even dare to call myself being close to that level. I would never say that. I don't think I'm that level. Okay, to be honest. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, shall we continue? You want to play a video
Yeah,
again?
let's continue.
All right. I think it's towards the end
To
already.
power and conquer Arabia. Easy. Deception, manipulation, bribery, and violence. That's exactly how Muhammad rises to power and conquers Arabia, according to the earliest strata of Islamic history, before the story started being massively embellished. Muhammad told the Meccans that they should accept him as a prophet because of his amazing poetry and because he's mentioned in the Bible. They thought his poetry was a joke and they didn't know about the Bible, so most of them weren't impressed. And Muhammad.
Wait a minute. He said that the pagan Arabs of Arabia should accept the prophet because he's mentioned in the Bible. Dude, do you even know what the pagan Arabs believe? I mean, did they ever had a copy of the Bible with them? There's no Bible in Arabic.
Oh, by
during
the way,
time
can
of
I
the
just
prophet,
respond to this Brian Bradley again? He's
yeah, sure. All right.
hold on.
What did he say? Okay.
Okay, the Anglo-Saxon. Like, okay, so he's saying that, okay, the Anglo-Saxon, the people who became British Americans was nothing 1,000 years ago and conquered the world within 700 years. What does that mean? First of all, the Anglo-Saxons are the Arab, and the Arabs, especially pagan Arabs, were not the same. Okay, so it's a faulty comparison. Like, if you read about the Arabs and the state that they were in, it makes absolutely no sense that they would win the way they won. And that's the point.
What did he say?
And yes, there have been different tribes that have won, but that happened very gradually, very slowly, not at the fast pace that it happened.
It took centuries for them to rise to the level.
Yeah,
Muslims did it in 10 years.
even with the Christians, right? Christianity didn't become a world power until like the leaders, their leaders, started embracing the faith.
Yeah, basically it's like this: what the Anglo-Saxon did in 700 years, the Muslims did it in 10 years, 10 to 20 years after the Prophet's passing. Okay.
Yeah.
So please explain that. Okay. Please explain that. Right. Yeah.
And with the thing about the Vikings used to attack very strategically, so it makes sense why they would win. Like, they used to attack suddenly, right?
Yes.
It's not like they didn't need bigger numbers. They would attack suddenly and then leave. They're looters. They didn't conquer many places until later on.
Yes.
So it's not a fair comparison.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Either way, let's continue.
Okay. Sure.
Win very many followers that way. And Muhammad went to Medina. In Medina, Muhammad's message became, if you join my religion and fight for me, we'll go out, we'll kill the men, we'll take their stuff, we'll take their wives and their daughters as our sex slaves. And if
we
you
should give him the
die
benefit
while
of the doubt.
fighting
Maybe
for
he's
me,
just curious.
Allah will take you to paradise and give you an eternity of deflowering virgins. And that's when men started converting in droves. Once Muhammad became the most powerful force in Arabia, the pagans had to convert or die. Jews and Christians had to convert or become dhimmis or die. And anyone who left Islam or made fun of Muhammad had to be executed. This is the
this guy, he's confusing. It's anachronistic. The term dhimmi came later, way after the Prophet. The concept of dhimmi and harbi kufar, the concept of dar al-Islam, dar al-Harb, all these concepts came later, far after the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Because during the time of the Prophet, there was no such thing as dhimmi or harbi or whatever. You see, because at the time it was only a small town of Medina and Mecca who were Muslim. Okay, it's not even an empire yet. So only when Islam became an empire, then when the when the Muslim Arabs started to have the burden of governance, this is when the theories of political science came about. So that is where the terms like Dar al-Islam, Dar al-Harb, Kafir, Cafe Zimmi or Cafe Harbi. All these terms came about later, much later. So it's an anachronism. See, so David's confusing his confusing history. Please, David, please learn some Islamic history, dude. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Yeah. Do you want to continue? Yeah.
Yeah, one point that I feel like so basically, what did he say?
No, he said after the prophet became powerful, so that is where he had to kill all the pagans and blah blah blah, and then the Cafe Zimmi and the Christians and Jews become Zimmi, etc.
Yeah, so basically he's saying like when I add the two periods, right, like the whole myth, Orientalist myth, like when he first was in Mecca, he was peaceful, and he later on he started fighting. Well, why did he start fighting? Did he just all of a sudden was bored and decided, you know what, let me just conquer this place, I'm bored? Is that what happened? No. What happened was that he was tortured, he was persecuted, his followers were persecuted.
Yes, exactly.
And like, for example, I can list like countless examples. Like, for example, there's one incident of like one of the earliest converts to Islam. For example, Ammar bin Yasser.
Yeah, you're talking about Sumaya, the Sumaya family. They were tortured. Only Ammar bin Yasser survived. The rest who died. I mean, his mother and his father died under torture.
Yeah, they were tortured on publicly in front of the child.
Yeah, exactly. And Ammar was only saved because he had to pretend to renounce Islam. That was the only reason he managed to survive. Otherwise, he would die like his parents. Okay, so so in early Islam, this is in the Sirah. I mean, come on, David. You say that you study Islam and you have a lot of the Sirah. You should try reading the early part of the Meccan period. Okay, I mean, you just simply ignore the Meccan period and you just zoom into the Madinan period. You don't. I mean, you should look at the persecution. Okay. So the persecution that the Muslims faced during the Meccan period is similar to what Jesus and his followers faced during his ministry on earth. Okay, the first period. They're basically that's what just to recall what Brother Muhammad Hijab said in his interview, or is in his dialogue with Jordan Peterson, right? He said that if you compare the Meccan period of the prophet to Jesus's ministry during his time on earth, is very similar, and you compare the Madinan period of the Prophet Muhammad with that of the second coming of Jesus as described in Revelations, it's very similar as well. Okay, because Jesus was supposed to come becoming he's supposed to be vengeful, he's supposed to be like a warrior king. I mean, in the second coming, according to Revelations, he's supposed to conquer his enemies and destroy his enemies, etc. Exactly as how the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did during the Madinan period. So you got to compare. It's not a fair comparison to compare the Madinan period with the early period of Jesus. Basically, the period when Jesus came to preach during his time in Palestine. Okay. So it's not a fair comparison at all. You should compare apples and apples, oranges and oranges. Okay. So the most fair comparison is to compare the Madinan period with that of the Revelations period, basically when Jesus comes during his second coming. Okay. That would be very fair. And Jordan Peterson actually admits that this is actually quite logical and acceptable to him. See? So what's the issue? It's only people like David Wu who cannot accept this. Yeah, you see?
Okay, bro, let's continue.
All right. Okay.
Wrap this up.
Sure. Yeah. I think
Only way an illiterate 7th century Arabian caravan robber with Muhammad's mental and moral and spiritual problems
Moses was a
could
caravan
have been
robber.
accepted as
yeah,
God's
so
last
according
and
to him,
greatest
Moses
prophet.
was a caravan robber, according to Numbers 31. Okay.
It's exactly what we find in the Muslim sources. But again, if later rulers were simply inventing the story of Muhammad as the foundation of their new religion, they could have said anything. There was no need at all for a fabricated Muhammad to rely on deception, manipulation, bribery, or violence to convince people to believe in him.
Sorry, had to stop this because a brother commented. The brother said, bro, if you expose his entire lies, he will come back with these lies. His main intention is lying and deception. Sheikh Uthman bin Farouk defeated him and refuted all his... Yes, Aki, yes, we know this. But yeah, we need to show David, the psychopath, that we are capable of answering him. That's the whole point. It's not whether he will stop lying. He will
Can
never
I
stop lying.
respond to one comment
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
from
Go
Brian
ahead.
Bradley?
Which one?
Well, in the 60s, it says. He still tried to bring this
Oh,
point.
okay, this one. Okay, right.
Okay. So he basically is saying, well, in the 60s, America went from horses, rockets, landing on the years. And how did they do that? Were they or were they not part of the British Empire? What did the British do? They looted and they butchered, and they had the benefit of being part of the British Empire. They all of a sudden they decided,
basically, America was also a colonizing power too. I mean, this was during the period of colonization.
They're already part of an empire.
So nothing to be proud of with your history.
Now, a fair comparison would be if the war between with the white people and the Native American, that would be a fair comparison to the battle between the Muslims and like the Romans.
Yes, exactly. And in this case, in the Muslim case, the Native Americans won. Okay, right. Okay.
Anyway, my point is, it's very unlikely.
Okay? Exactly.
I'm not saying it cannot happen or it will never happen in history, but it's very unlikely.
No, it's unlikely. It didn't happen, in fact, in history, but the Muslims did it. The Muslims pulled it off, right? That's the whole point. Yeah. That's the whole point. Yeah. So I want to play this again. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up.
Third, in 1999, the American psychologist Paul Vitz published a book.
Oh, he's going to talk about
Faith
psychology.
and
Yeah,
Fatherless.
I know this.
It's about the connection between early childhood experiences and
Blah, blah, blah.
later religious belief. His research showed that the overwhelming majority of prominent advocates
Basically, he's attacking
of
the
atheism over the past 2
orphanhood
centuries
of the Prophet.
either had no father figure when they were young, or they had a terrible relationship with a bad father figure. The overwhelming majority of prominent advocates of theism, by contrast, had a close relationship with a father figure they loved and respected when they were children. Near the end of the book, Dr. Vitz responds to a possible objection to his analysis. Since there have always been bad fathers or missing fathers, why is popular atheism such a recent development? He replies by suggesting that in the past, when atheism wasn't a live option for people, the psychology of the defective father would have been expressed.
Check this out. He's going to say something really stupid.
This brings us back to Muhammad.
Okay, let me pause
whose
this.
father
Okay, yeah.
No. Continue. He's going to say.
Okay, he's going to say it, right?
died before he was born. Then he was sent to live with some Bedouins in the desert. They became convinced that he was demon-possessed, sent him back to live with his mother when he was 4. Then his mother died when he was 6. He was sent to live with his grandfather, and his grandfather died by the time he was 8. So Muhammad lost every relationship with a mother figure or father figure that he had by the time he was 8. Why is this important? Well, according to a lot of research, someone with this level of childhood loss and trauma will express this loss
Childhood loss and
as an
trauma.
adult in 3 main ways. One, he'll have a tendency to
I mean, seriously, this is the guy who beat up his father with a hammer and he's talking about childhood loss and trauma. Can't believe this, man. I can't believe this.
Can you let him finish? I want to make a point.
well
here.
against authority
Sure.
and tradition. 2, he'll have trouble forming stable, healthy relationships with other people. And 3, he'll have a problem with father figures, and especially with viewing God as a heavenly
Here
father.
it comes.
If you studied the life of Muhammad, you know that Muhammad exhibited all of these features in extreme fashion. Muhammad is the extreme example.
I don't know how to
of
respond to
someone who
this. I have
exhibits
to
these
laugh
features.
at it.
Hold on.
Muhammad doesn't just rebel against authority and tradition. He turns against his own people, against his own tribe, against his own city, violently subjugates them, smashes their idols in front of them. Muhammad doesn't just have trouble forming stable, healthy relationships. All of his relationships were massively twisted. Muhammad's first marriage was to a woman named Khadija, who's 15 years older than him, the same age his mother would have been if she hadn't died.
Oh my God.
Muhammad would run to her when he was scared, even though he was a grown man. He had his best friend hand over his prepubescent daughter for marriage. He took the wife of his own adopted son. He married a woman after
Oh
torturing
my
and killing
God,
her
this
husband.
guy, I
These
can't
are not
believe
normal
him.
relationships. And finally, Muhammad doesn't just have a problem with father figures, he abolishes adoption in Islam. in adoption in Islam. Muhammad abolished it and unadopted
I don't
his
know what to
adopted
say,
son.
bro. I'm
And
really
no one
Alright,
in
alright,
history
alright.
had a bigger
This guy
Pause
is
it.
totally shameless. Oh my god, he's totally shameless. He can say all this with a straight face and talking about father
Okay,
figures
so
and everything.
can I share the screen?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, let's not forget, David. Didn't you hit your daddy with a hammer? How is that for father figure?
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. There's a. Okay, here we go. So if you look at the life of the prophet, you can see that at
TikTok
first
it is
his
hammer
father
time.
died
Yeah,
before he was born. Okay, so this one doesn't count
yeah,
because he's already dead. Then his mother died, yes, but
yes,
then he was adopted by his
yes,
grandfather,
yes.
and then he was
Exactly.
adopted by his uncle. So
Yes.
when was the period that he didn't have a father figure?
Yeah. In fact, Abu Talib was his father figure, wasn't he? Right to the end, right? Right
Yeah,
until after his prophethood. In fact, well into after his prophethood. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
basically, the father figure for him was Abu Talib.
yeah,
Yeah, so Abu Talib. Yeah, yeah, and he wanted his uncle Abu Talib desperately to become a Muslim, but unfortunately, Abu Talib did not become one. Right until the end, he never did. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He was begging, he was praying, he was asking him, but Abu Talib just refused. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, it didn't happen. Yeah. But he loved his uncle very much. Yeah.
yeah.
So, and his uncle was like basically his uncle was the father figure. So what the hell is David talking about? And this is coming from a person who strike his father figure with a hammer.
Yeah.
So what makes you become an authority to be talking about father figures when you treated your own father badly?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I cannot brain this. I really cannot brain this.
Also, another thing is that like he abandoned like his father figure. I mean, and like, I mean, like according to you guys, right? I mean, like the Hindus don't believe in the father.
Yeah.
Did they have like trauma?
Yeah, I mean, this is a Western. I think this is a Western philosophical, psychological thing. I mean, you don't need to have a father figure in order to have a stable family. Anyway, I mean, there's many cultures which don't have the father, okay, as a stable son. Yeah, so so I mean, all his science doesn't apply. I mean, we're talking about 1,500 years ago. The current modern science of today doesn't apply to what happened back then. Okay. So I mean, on what basis do you say that the prophet did not have a father figure and father figures are important in that society back then? Yeah. Let's not forget the Arabs were a warring tribe. I mean, I'm pretty sure many fathers died. Okay, during war. So
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty sure the Arabs were still living happily without their fathers. Okay, so
yeah.
yeah, okay, because they live in a close knit clan. You see, so basically, when the father dies, then the uncle takes over. That's what happened to the prophet. Okay,
By the way,
so
can I
yeah.
respond to this another comment by Brian Bradley?
Brian Bradley,
He
which one?
still bring up this
Oh, what?
nonsense.
Mongols.
Yeah. Okay, so the Mongols did the same thing. They were stopped by the Muslims. Yeah, did the Mongols fight someone more advanced than them? Yeah, they did. They fought the Japanese, and what happened? They lost.
Yeah. So
He doesn't get the point. The point is that the Romans and
I
the
think
Persians had superior weapons.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
They were more advanced.
The Romans and the Persians were superpowers during the era. So a
Yeah,
superpower being defeated by Red Indians is something unnatural. Okay,
yeah.
I mean,
Like
basically the
Mongols, they fought
yeah
like different tribes, and that's what made them strong.
basically the Arabs at the time were like the Red Indians, and the Red Indians managed to defeat the Persians and the Byzantines. Okay, try imagining
Yeah,
that. Okay, yeah, or Eskimos even. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
better than
Exactly.
that. Yeah, exactly. So still cannot get the point. Okay. Okay. So anyway, do you want to continue this? I think it's going to end already. It's almost ending.
Yeah, I think his point is ending.
Yeah.
So
Problem
yeah,
with
let's
viewing
wrap
God
it
as a
up here.
heavenly father
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
than Muhammad. The Quran says that the highest relationship anyone can have with Allah is a slave to master relationship, and that the heavens and earth are on the verge of being torn apart whenever someone says that Allah is a father.
Actually, it's not that. It's actually when God has a son, doesn't say anything about God being a father. I mean, we don't have any problems with you calling God the father. Okay, if you mean it in a figurative sense, but when you say God has a son, and it's meant in a very literal sense, like how the Christians believe today, well, of course, that's what Quran says. It's an affront to God. Okay. And about the master-son relationship thing, I think there are many verses in the New Testament. I can actually bring it up, but I don't feel the need to. Where Paul again says that the Christians must serve like a servant, a doulos to God. Okay, so in the New Testament, Paul is also describing the relationship between a Christian and God like a master and servant relationship. So what the hell is David talking about? So it's in the epistles, okay, in the Greek epistles, because the translations doesn't really cover it much. But basically Paul is saying that a Christian must serve God as though God is his master and he is the servant. Okay, this is in the epistles. So I don't know what David is trying to argue about, because this is basically the same concept as his own Bible. Okay, so you want to continue again?
Yeah, let's continue. Let's
Okay,
finish this.
all right.
This leads to an obvious question. How much did Jay's merry band of conspirators know about psychology? If you guessed absolutely nothing, you're
Well, dude, you don't know anything about psychology anyway. to be asking that question to Jay, because both of you are idiots. You don't even know anything. Okay.
Yeah.
absolutely correct. Yet, if we want to accept Jay's conspiracy theory, we have to believe that they were the greatest masters of psychology ever, because they wrote a fictional account of Muhammad's childhood that lines up perfectly with his psychological profile as an adult. More problems to come.
Yeah, I guess he's.
What a
Yep.
farce.
Yeah. Okay. I guess.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
let's
David.
end this.
Yeah.
Let's
I
end
guess.
this, yeah.
Let's end this. All right. So okay.
Well,
So I
inshallah, we'll
think.
slap Jay Smith the day after tomorrow, maybe.
I wish I could slap him now, but I know it's quite late, and I don't know. My
Yeah.
my camera is fizzling out. Sometimes I'm appearing, sometimes I'm not. You know, I don't know why. I think it's just the camera acting up.
Bro,
Okay.
you need to fix the camera.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's
know.
fine, but yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because of my connection. It could be because of my connection. I don't know. Yeah. It could be
Yeah,
the
yeah.
connection, because I mean, I can see you well. I mean, my voice is clear, right? It's very weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it's a wrap for
Yeah.
David's the first part. Okay. So yeah. So thank you everyone for watching this reaction video. Oh, there's 7 people online. Wow, 3 hours. We've been talking for 3 hours. Okay. So anyway, thank you very much everyone for joining this live stream with me and the brother of Islamic Calling. So please do not forget to like, subscribe my channel. Please join the membership if you want to join me for future live streams, where if you join the membership you'll get a lot of benefits, like emojis and everything. Yeah, I'm actually building up I have actually some custom emojis. Okay, so anyway, thank you very much for sorry you can't see my face because my camera is fuzzy. Anyway, I'll end this show right now. Thank you very much for joining both of us. Inshallah, I'll see you again in a future live stream or video.
By the way, bro, thank you for inviting me.
No worries, Aki, no worries. So anyway, inshallah, me and brother Islamic Calling will be having another session again. This time we're going to refute the old fart J. Smith, inshallah. Right?
Yeah.
So
inshallah, the day after tomorrow, maybe.
Yes, inshallah. Yes, I think
Inshallah,
that would be good. Yeah, I think we need to do that as soon as possible. Anyway, so
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you very much for joining the show. So, see you again in a future video. Assalamualaikum
Thank you guys, bro.
warahmatullahi
Jazakallah khair.
wabarakatuh. Yes.